when you hear the music stop, you're good to go.
Bonfire banter. We got a great panel tonight, and we have quite the exciting topic. Mike DeGrasse back out here.
Mikey.
We got Rob, our director, sitting back out here tonight as well.
Back
He's going to
again.
be in probably at least one segment. Maybe get you in another one. But
Yeah, we'll see.
Cody is taking our blue mic tonight.
Thank you.
And if you
Thank
guys
you.
noticed, some fantastic new mic covers. And we wanted
Absolutely.
to show everyone we're a colorful group.
Yeah.
That's
So we
right.
decided to get some colorful mics. So as far as the episode tonight, we're talking some conspiracy theory. Mainly the two we're going to be talking about, which I'm sure it'll get a little off this topic, but is JFK assassination as well as the moon landing. And this episode was something that I know Mike has wanted to do for a while. I think we even had it scheduled at one point.
Yeah.
And then it kind of got pushed off, and now we're circling around to it again. So first off, Mike, I want to start with the moon landing one. I think this is an interesting one. So let's start out with that, and tell me why it's impossible for you to believe that in 1969 we landed on the moon. Let's just start with that.
Yeah, that's broad. I don't know, just to start, the lack of feasibility of being able to do it. The idea that you could send spacecraft off of a planet you can't possibly know the mass of to a body that you can't possibly know the mass of.
Why
and
can't you know the
successfully-
mass of these things?
How do you weigh the moon?
Well, or don't we have some kind of idea of the mass of the Earth, though?
How do you know?
You know,
I don't know.
honestly, my thing is that, my father, he's always watching these science TV shows and things like that. And they're spitting out all this information, all these facts, a billion light years away, there's, 4 possibly inhabitable planets. And my thing is, what's frustrating for me is like having to just take that, take them at their word. Like
Yeah.
it's hard to fathom how they can know that.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
kind of what he's saying.
It's
How
not that's
the
hard. It's
hell
not
do you
that's
know
hard to
that?
fathom. It's just you can't fathom it.
Right.
So I mean, just the little thing. I mean, just on the surface level stuff. Why a layman who hasn't done a lot of research, if somebody was just like curious of what just the surface level stuff that's so obvious is, little things to me where I look up at the night sky.
Yeah.
Everybody knows the constellations. They know where they're at, and just at the same time that we have this infinite, vast space, expanding and moving away faster than the speed of light. There's no obvious change to anything.
Yeah.
And the idea that you could not only shoot a rocket ship to the moon, then have it orbit, then have a pod that lands on the moon, driving a doom buggy around, then getting back in a ship.
Well, that was later.
No, but I'm saying no matter how you look at it, it's the idea that you could pull that off knowing no measurements.
Yeah, that's
All
how
based on
that's
no-
how American we are. We brought a car.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. It
We
just
brought a car and a golf
golf.
club and
Yeah.
a golf
so I mean, it's just
ball.
so you can't know what the vacuum of space is without experiencing it. So you can't know the spacesuit that could survive in the vacuum
Were
of
we
space.
ever in space before we landed on the moon? We were, right? I mean, it's
Yeah.
not like our first trip out in outer space was
We
landing on
yeah,
the
but
moon.
we'd orbited- orbited the moon.
Yeah, low Earth
Yeah.
orbit as far as we're
Okay.
going right now.
They
Okay.
they even orbited the moon but didn't land.
Yeah, and then there's Van Allen radiation belt. You can go. There's a million different basic things that you can't. I don't know. Just the thought of when you hear the smartest people on the earth telling you that it's harder to fake it than it is to go there. That's on its surface so full of shit that it's hard to.
Yeah, that's not
All right.
true.
Well,
Yeah.
let me ask you this: do you believe that from the beginning they were going to fake a moon landing, or do you think they tried, it didn't happen, and then they faked it?
Yeah, like we've
Like, we couldn't-
we've written a lot of
We spent a lot of money. Yeah,
told everybody we're doing
We spent a lot of money. We built a lot of we built
Yeah.
all this stuff. We got all these people involved, and then it didn't work
not
out. And then
happening.
we
Yeah, I think
made it
it's
on a soundstage.
I think it's more logical that it was a plan to show military supremacy and
Yeah.
power against
Right.
the
The
Soviets.
space race. I mean,
And then
you're trying to
when
show
you realize you
your
can't go, and the deadline's 1970, and you have memos in 1968 saying we're not even close, like we can't even fathom this, and then you're making it right before the deadline, and there's a space race that nobody takes second in, and just a lot of little things where it's nobody could have fathomed going to the moon. The Russians weren't even close to even thinking about a plan to go there.
Yeah.
You know,
So, I mean-
my thing is that, you know, I don't know much about it at all, so I'm open to being convinced either way.
Shown some
You
kind of
know,
evidence, one way
right?
or another, yeah.
Either way, but the thing is that even recently, there's if you look it up, there's some guys who have come out about working on UFO spacecrafts.
Bob Lazar.
Yeah, exactly. And for me, I haven't heard of any public figure who has come out and been like, I have the proof that the whole moon landing was fake. I mean, it just sounds crazy to me
and
that
all
there's
those people involved. Think about
Yeah.
all the people involved
Right.
in NASA, at Jet Propulsion Labs, at
and that's my
everything.
thing is that it sounds
that's
almost
not-
unfathomable to have that many people
Yeah.
on the
In on
same
it.
agenda.
Talking about
with the
hundreds-
same fake
Okay,
agenda.
okay.
Talking about hundreds
That's
of
my
thousands
only-
of
Yeah.
people.
So, but
Yeah.
the answer to that is that assumes that if you have a team of 10,000 people, that they all know exactly how the mechanics are going to work all together.
Okay.
So I mean, it's the Manhattan Project.
Sure.
Like you have 100,000 people all over the country that are working on a bomb they don't know they're making.
Yeah,
Right.
they're all working on such
Right.
little parts of it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but that
And
was
that's kinda
that
how-
was purposely
That's
kept
how Bob
secret.
Lazar
the
said
moon
about the
the moon
UFO.
landing that was purposely kept secret. The moon landing wasn't purposely kept secret. I mean, everybody was involved in it. It wasn't like hush hush. I mean, obviously there is a lot of secrecy because you don't want information getting to the Russians.
But Bob Lazar legitimately talks about that specifically, saying that
Yes.
he only worked on a specific little part, and he didn't really know what it was, what the broader plan was.
That's right.
And he was told to work on this little thing, and then it was like anti-gravity or something like that. I
Yes.
think he was specifically
Yes,
working on.
like the size of a basketball thing, and then
Yeah, and he was touching it,
They
and it
had
was, like,
no
pushing his hand
idea
away.
what everybody
Yeah.
else was working on,
Yeah.
and they funneled people in and out all
Yeah.
the time.
Yeah.
So nobody had enough information to maybe be able to
piece it
go
all
to the
together.
public and relay, kind of what's going on and stuff like that.
So, I mean, it's interesting. Like I said, I think that's the biggest, thing that people would say to someone like you, saying how you have to hide it. So many people have to be willing to hide this information and to, throw off American history and basically, make this a big fallacy, and they all have to be on their deathbeds at some point, like not willing to tell these secrets and things like that. I just think it's interesting. And I think, one thing that I found really interesting recently, this almost the other way to the other point of the argument here, is that there was somebody from Israel recently that's on their deathbed that was part of like their space exploration. And he's like the head of whatever the hell they did in Israel for like space exploration. And he's on his deathbed right now. He's like 90 or 89 or some shit like that, getting old. He's on his deathbed. He's telling a tell-all apparently that there are aliens and that every American president's known about this for a long time. And
Didn't they say they're working on the moon with Martians like inside the moon or something?
it's something.
Yeah.
It's pretty bizarre. And I was told it by a friend, and then I did some slight research. I'm not gonna say I went in and did
Fell into
look
the
at
rabbit hole.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I didn't, but it was interesting.
I mean, Occam's razor tells me that the odds of a 9-year-old being senile and is more likely than there being an alien federation working
Yes.
with us on Mars.
potentially.
But if it's
man,
Buzz Aldrin talking about it, then everybody believes him, even though he's
I don't know. That's
I
the
did
same
also
guy.
hear a story that I think it was Buzz Aldrin or Neil Armstrong, that someone had come up to him and said, "Oh, moon landing was fake," and he punched him straight in the
That's,
mouth.
that's a true story.
Buzz,
I think,
yeah.
I think he,
No, it's on
he
camera.
went to
It's
court
on
for
video.
that. Yeah, he went to.
No, it's on
that's
video.
documented.
It's not-
You
yeah.
don't think you'd have that reaction if like you
If it was
knew it
real.
was fake?
Yeah.
If you like knew it was fake, would he be like,
No, he
"Fucking
would have been guilty. He would have been like, no,
He's
trying
an-
to over-explain it and stuff
Yeah.
like
He's an
that.
Air
so-
Force test pilot. He's got balls the size of the moon.
Right.
Okay. You think he's gonna take some shit from
No.
some
especially at that age?
reporter who thinks he knows what's going
Yeah.
on? No,
Right.
he's gonna.
Right.
Well, I mean, I don't know when you make a claim as insane as the moon, you need to show me irrefutable evidence that we went to the moon. You can't just say we went there, show me evidence we didn't.
No, they did. It's just not good enough for you.
No, it's just that,
I mean, there's footage. There's
yeah, I know the footage is
I'd like to hear about
been
like,
gone deep into the
why
photographs, the
why
videos. We
is
can literally go for 5 hours on the
Explain
video
why.
and photo.
Explain why the flag thing is impossible.
I think the flag thing's all gaslighting.
I think that's one of those things that conspiracy theorists on this talk about is the flag shouldn't be waving in the wind, right? Isn't that one of those main
Yeah,
topics?
yeah.
I think
That it's
something more
moving around?
relevant. So you can look at the flag, and then you can find out that the flag is actually made out of a foil that's crinkled and stuff. There's a million ways to gaslight that. But the
What
thing
does
you
a
can't-
gaslight
yeah.
mean?
Well,
What does that
there's
mean?
no.
it's
Hang on.
it's just the idea that we're just focusing on something that isn't relevant to what we're talking
Yeah.
about to cover up other parts that
Right.
are
Like a
relevant.
magician's
So,
trick.
so it's the idea
Yeah,
that
look over here while we're
Yeah.
doing this.
So I mean, it's just the idea that I could look at, I can look at one picture of the moon, another picture from a different moon mission, and you can overlay the backgrounds of the photos, and it's in the exact same place. Yeah, I mean, I could look at a picture. I believe it's Alan Shepard. Don't quote me on that, but there's a photograph of him in practicing a spacewalk.
Okay.
And then they took that picture, cut him out, and then put it all black background and said, this is him doing a spacewalk. But it's the same photograph.
I don't know.
So there's so much photoshopping, and I know it could be the media arm of NASA, their promo department trying to like get people jacked, a lot of things.
Yeah.
But
Increase their funding and keep themselves going.
But
Right?
the idea that none of the physics match up in 1/6 Earth gravity in any of the videos than it should. Like the speed isn't right. The lack of actual substance in any of the video on the moon. I don't know. You can look at those and I can show you more irregularities
Yeah,
than I can show you things that show that this could possibly happen.
the flag waving thing is an old one. That was like they've been using that
That's been
forever, trying to
debunked,
say I think it's been debunked
It's like,
because the actual real reason why it's moving is because they planted the flag and it's on the moon, so it's going to continue to move until something stops it. Now,
That's
it does have a
interesting.
little bit of gravity, so
Yeah.
so if you're shaking the pole, that thing's
gonna
going
move it
to
a
keep
little bit.
moving. It's not like Earth; it doesn't have gravity, so it's going to keep
But it has no
moving.
atmosphere.
But doesn't it
For
have
quite- it does
some
have- it does
gravity
have
or
some
no?
sort of-
it having gravity with no atmosphere, there is no friction.
So
It's the same thing as wide open space.
the idea is that
And
like
in a wide open space, there would be no waving or moving, because it's not that they put it in and it was wobbling. It's minutes later. There's parts where they're 3 feet away from it, it's wobbling. So could it be a draft from somebody moving? That's what it seems like based on what you'd say the physics are, but there is no draft because there's no atmosphere.
Well, the explanation is, somebody opened a door on the studio set and
No, that's
breeze
the
came
guess.
in.
That's
Like, really, but I mean, like, think about it. If you're gonna fake a moon landing, why would you allow a breeze to come
Yeah.
through there? Like,
Well,
it just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I do agree with that. I mean, I think it all comes down to
You wouldn't
just-
make that mistake.
Can you really believe that NASA and all these people involved have all been on the same page for so long?
All the manufacturers that
yeah.
made the parts,
and
all
holding
the
on to
individual
this
stuff, the
lie for so
computers.
long. I think that's what you have to believe. Is like not,
But there's a big difference between building a rocket that can blast off and
Landing
that
it
being
safely.
turned into we're in space now, going to the moon and landing on it.
Yeah, the Saturn V rocket itself is a marvel. I mean, the fact that they were able to do that and make that in '69.
What is that?
Why couldn't they
Explain that
also?
a little bit.
The Saturn V rocket is the rocket that launched and took
That
us to the
launched
moon.
them to
It
the
is
moon.
the
Okay.
single most
Okay.
powerful machine
Yeah, the
ever
amount
made
of
by man.
thrust these rocket ships can generate.
It
is
is-
that to
it-
date or the
To date,
Like Elon
it is
Musk is doing
no,
more than
no,
that?
no,
I don't know.
no. It is the most powerful machine ever made by man.
Okay.
Just because it's so much, it had to be. The ships were so much less efficient.
Yeah.
That you need.
Yeah.
They're so much heavier, and there's.
Oh,
so
They were,
much
they were,
right.
stuff
yeah.
that they
You're
can-
carrying,
Yeah.
That
you're
makes
carrying the
sense.
That does
LEM.
make
You're
sense.
carrying the LEM. You're carrying the astronauts. You're carrying a lot more stuff up there
I mean, you
than
even
just
think
a
about like a
satellite.
TV.
The computers
think
were
about a
this
TV
big.
weight like
Yeah.
20 years ago, and I pick up like a 40-inch that I brought over here,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
it was
yeah.
like 100 pounds.
Yeah.
And
Right.
I pick up this 75-inch at my house, and it's less. It weighs
Yeah,
less.
Yeah,
right.
it's not
That
as
makes sense.
efficient.
That-
Yeah, it's
yeah,
not
yeah.
as efficient.
Yeah. So.
And that's actually what kept the Russians from getting as far as we did,
Oh,
was
it's
because they could
television
not
quality?
develop. No, they could not. They could not develop. They could not develop a rocket that was reliable enough and powerful enough to take them up there.
Or
They
maybe
had- they
not
had
technology
problems
that
with
was light enough.
Or they
Was
didn't
there-
have
was
good
there-
enough cameras to, or like Roswell,
Well,
Mexico, or New Mexico to
wait,
like film it, right?
They were pretty clear when Kennedy asked to work together with the Russians.
Yeah.
This was in I think like '67 or '68, and they said we have no interest in sending somebody to the moon without thorough preparation.
So
it's just
hang on, Russian said that?
The Russians said that.
Okay.
So that's when we realized that
There's
we were
no
on
one
our
else
own.
competing, kind of.
And then Kennedy made the announcement that we're on our own. It was like the day before the next thing we're going to get into, which is kind of funny.
Getting your phone popped off.
And we had satellite imagery. We not satellite imagery, but we had aerial reconnaissance and seeing all of their rockets blowing up on the launch pad constantly. So we kind of knew that they weren't there. However, they were there. Their own race they were trying to have was to actually be the first to land a rover on the moon and bring a sample back. So we were trying to get a man on the moon. Russia was trying to be the first to bring back a piece of the moon.
So, hey,
Right? And in fact,
which
actually,
Kennedy admitted that it was a stunt and it would cost too much dough and it made no sense to. He knew it was a publicity stunt to land somebody on the moon. He talked to Jim Webb in audio calls, and he's just saying, "We're spending billions of dollars when we can just send instruments up there, can't we?"
well, that's what the Russians tried to do.
Well, it just doesn't make any sense to not send instrumentation there first.
No, my big thing is, okay, if we're talking about samples,
I guess.
at one point did they
But
just
we're
reach
American.
down and grab some sample? Why didn't they just you're on the moon walking around?
They did.
Why don't you just
They did. No, we did. We
Okay.
did. So we were the first to do that, and it's actually interesting. The Russians actually had a satellite that arrived to the moon before we did,
Oh, gotcha.
but it had problems and crash landed into the moon.
Gotcha.
And
Is that
they-
because of
and something-
gravity?
It
thing
was
that
just
sucked
it was just
in,
some
or-
problem. I don't know
Well,
I don't know what the
because
failure was.
It's because they would have no idea at all.
but they would have
Fast would have
actually
to go.
they would have
You
actually
cannot-
beat us.
That's why we didn't go.
They would have
there's-
actually beat
screwed
us.
up.
Like there's nothing else orbiting the moon to show you
What
the
the
speed
right-
would be.
yeah,
Or you can't.
what the
There's nothing
equation is.
relative to it.
Yeah.
Like you weigh something and the scale is calibrated based on weights that you are sure that you know.
Yeah, but what do you?
So you can't.
What would
it's
you
just
say?
like when you talk about the speed of light. We've never measured the speed of light. You
I
can't
don't-
tell me it's 200. What is it? 283,000 meters per second or miles per. It's just a number that you can't tell me you measure that. You can't measure.
Every measurement is just a measurement based on.
And you have to be
a
within fractions of a
consistency.
fraction of a fraction
Yeah,
of your speed measurements and your distance measurements in order to go around the moon a bunch of times.
But
and then
these
come
are the
back.
smartest
So
guys
there's
in
no
the
like
world.
you can't guesstimate anything.
I mean, don't
No,
you
I
think
know.
that they
So
had?
and there's
you
no
know,
guesstimation because it's
before-
impossible to weigh it. So I'm sorry.
Remember that satellite that crashed into to Mars? No, not it was a rover that crashed into Mars. I think it was back in 2004, maybe. Where something happened and it got programmed in metric and they were measuring in standard or something like that, and it just like buried itself into
Oh my
Mars.
gosh.
Like they
Seems-
fucked up.
It
So
seems
it
like,
happens.
It seems like a
I
silly
mean,
way to not having any idea what you're doing.
Mistake, huh? I don't know.
Yeah.
it happens.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just it's the biggest feat of exploration that's ever happened in the biggest unknown that's ever happened, and you didn't practice.
They
And that's just
practiced. They practiced up to that point.
I know, but you can't simulate it.
How do you practice landing on the moon? They practiced everything up to that point.
You have
They
to
practiced
do it until you
spacewalk.
know.
They
I don't
practiced
know. I don't
docking. They practiced
not until you try
orbiting. They
So you're
did
talking
all
about
that.
space docking?
Yes. If you're not familiar,
What do you
everybody,
mean?
everybody go online and look up
space docking.
space.
simple.
Space. Look up space docking.
Look up
and
space
science,
docking.
you
It
ever
has
heard
a
of
lot to do with Elon's doing a ton of space docking now.
When your kids aren't around, look up space docking.
Rocket science. You ever heard of it? I mean, look it up.
The other thing that was interesting to me about that launch was in the actual shuttle that they were in 1969, it got really cold in there, and the only thing that kept them warm was like raccoon hats from York Furrier, who has been
yes.
exceptional fur and outerwear
Yes.
since 1931,
Thank
which
you.
they were a thriving company by the time they sent someone to the moon. So
Right.
they
Yeah.
really had the whole stitching thing figured out.
Yes.
And
that's really where they took off.
Yeah, how
You
do
know
you
what I
think-
mean? So yeah,
how do you think
thank you to York Furrier
Yeah,
once again.
I believe York Furrier provided Gene Kranz's vests.
Really?
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
This is all good
And the
information.
grease of Elvis Presley's hair. I heard that too.
Gene Kranz was the flight director.
We also want to give a shout out to Moore Brewing Company.
Yeah.
Fabulous craft beers and food. Stop in there when you can. You probably have to order out right now. I think that's the only way to get the food from Moore Brewing Company at the moment. But keep checking them out. Thank you guys for your support.
I just
Corey,
want to add
Corey,
for
you been
more
to-
brewing. I
Yeah,
live
you been
not
to
too
Moore-
far from
Yes.
Yeah.
there. And my family goes there a lot. My father goes there. I go with my father. And not just the food, not just the beer, but the servers, the managers. I mean,
They
everything.
seem like they like their jobs.
Everything is just phenomenal. It's more of like
Support
an
local.
experience going there than
Just
it
like
is
the moon.
just for I want a bite to eat.
It's like the moon. It's like you can't explain it unless you've been there.
No, but for real, they everything they've done, and especially sponsor, coming out to sponsor you guys
Hell
is
yeah.
huge. And so I know our family really appreciates just them being here. I've lived in
Yeah.
Villa Park for 26 years, my whole life, and
Yeah.
you guys have been around here, and it's nice to have something like that in the area. So
Absolutely.
a little,
Old
little
hand.
side note to it.
Absolutely. Check
Thank
them
you.
out in Villa Park. Thank you guys so much for your continued sponsorship, as well as York Furrier.
And Corey will confirm when the check comes in the mail.
Yes.
Yeah, still have our support until the 24th.
Yeah, yeah.
People-
No doubt.
I wish we could have somebody just hand him a bag of money off screen real quick.
Yeah. So just to get back on what we're
Yes,
talking about.
please.
So the moon is made of cheese, though. That's been confirmed.
That's
Okay.
for sure. Yeah. Yeah. No, it's hard to. It's a pretty big topic, and it's hard to. I don't want to be the guy who says you have to look into it. Because that's like with everything, but
I'm guessing
it's
you're gonna say it right now.
Well, no, but it's just the idea that you can't. If you live in a world where your reality is based on taking other people's words for it, it's
Yeah.
hard for you to hear somebody say, "Yeah, the moon landing's bullshit," and then be able to get a coherent evidence in your head to
Yep.
be able to say it. So it's just, I don't know, you can watch the hours of footage and look at the tens of thousands of photographs and listen to people that can rationalize it. And then you can look at it and say, my opinion of this is this, if I was in a
Right.
vacuum.
Okay,
Like the vacuum space
One
they went to with suits that they could have tested and they survived. So
One thing that you mentioned off screen before we started
They
filming
tested it with
was
monkeys.
what they tested with what?
With monkeys.
Oh, really?
They sent a monkey into space first. The
Oh, for
Russians
sure,
sent a dog. Just sent dogs. Russians use dogs. America
No, but
used
the-
monkeys.
But I know, but you. My big thing is you can't compare into our atmosphere and in our orbit is going to space.
Yeah. The problem that we had, I mean, the Russians didn't have the problem with the dogs, but we had a ton of monkeying around with the guys that we
Yep.
sent
It was a
there.
lot of
That's like a dad joke. That's a total dad. That's almost a dad joke.
Seriously, Justin, how can you get
No,
off
no,
this?
no, yeah.
All right,
saying
no,
we-
it is.
We got Joe coming on soon. He's our pun guy. So
I had to
we're
fill
just
in for
getting
him.
started,
Yeah.
everybody.
Dude,
We're
just
getting
give him a break,
started.
dude. It's a dog eat dog moon out there.
Yeah.
All right, write that one
so,
down.
Yeah. So another thing, just
Mike?
to brought the atmosphere
Yeah,
thing.
go.
Just other little observations that it's hard to rationalize is if you look at the atmosphere, it's obviously heavier objects, denser objects, like have a bigger effect of gravity taking place on them. So the lighter the gas, the further away from the Earth's surface it is in our atmosphere. Right.
Okay.
So we have our lightest gases that are butted right up against the vacuum of space.
Okay.
That's a hard thing to conceptualize. That the most errant objects in our atmosphere and on our planet can just be butted up against the vacuum of space and it's all good. That's a hard thing to fathom.
I'm having a tough time just following what you're saying.
Right,
So, yeah.
you know. So I mean, it's just
So you're saying the latest...
the lightest part of our atmosphere.
helium.
doesn't like
Helium's
that.
the
Well,
lightest.
Yeah. So it's
Okay.
we have a
No,
law that
being held to us
it-
with the gravity?
Gravity is stronger than the vacuum of space. That
Okay.
Oh no,
you'd have to
helium's
play
not.
with it.
Helium's not the lightest. Helium,
Or just
helium-
whatever. It's there's
No,
a
I
whole
said
soup.
that though.
There's a whole soup.
Helium's number 2. Hydrogen is the lightest. Yeah,
That's
hydrogen.
the outermost layer of our atmosphere is what you guys saying?
Yeah,
Where's
well,
helium?
it's
No,
I don't know.
Whatever it is.
Yeah.
But whatever it is the
Yeah,
latest
just the
part
idea.
of
We're
our
just like
atmosphere.
we're talking about this soup of gases.
Yes.
Does anyone
that are
have
in
a periodic
further
table on
stretch of our
them?
atmosphere, and they can withstand the vacuum of
Forgot
space.
mine.
Okay.
You know, and a big thing to me is science is observation. So we have all space exploration is just we didn't observe it. It kind of goes back to if we wanted to get insane about space and stuff, it's we base our entire scientific model on the idea that there's Big Bang,
Yeah.
that the things that we can see in space, we know what they're composed of.
Right.
It's you can't know unless you've gone there. You
Well,
can't
I
know
think
unless you
that
saw it.
speaks to what I was talking about earlier, which is just so difficult for me is when I'm watching these, how the universe works type thing on,
You don't fucking know.
or Nova or something
Yeah.
like that. And they're telling me that this star that's, 10 billion light years away is made up of this much mass and these gases. And I'm sitting there thinking, and I look at my dad, I'm like, am I just supposed to take them at their word? But then again, it's like there's, I also wanted to say about the, going into space. Or let's say, they're ready to send a people to the moon.
Yeah.
Like at least I would hope that our government or that our bodies have done enough mathematical research and physics research or whatever it may be, rocket science research, to know that
What we're experiencing. Or...
yeah, at least that we have a good shot of doing
Yeah.
it. And for me to have to wonder if the government or whoever it may be faked that,
Yeah.
it's almost to me like a fool's errand. I almost want to be ignorant to that fact.
Yeah,
and just trust it.
Well,
on
I mean,
know what you're
it-
saying.
but it's
Yeah.
even less that to me. It's more if you have research and science and experiments done over human history that we have recorded,
Right.
which is on the scale of time that people say they're sure of things. We literally have no fucking idea. You can't.
Yeah.
But
Right.
when you're looking at all this stuff, it's like you go to school, you learn from PhDs. The research that was stated as this is fact, this is confirmed.
Yeah.
All you're doing is building your knowledge based on things that you don't have to show that they're confirmed. They just are.
Sure.
You know,
Hey,
So it's-
right.
so
That's
it's a lot
kind of
things
what
where
I'm talking
it's
about.
not even about like we have this huge story. If you're going to come and be a scientist, we have to let you in on it. It's just no. The things are the things that are fact. Seen
Don't
as fact,
question
and,
it. Don't
you know,
question
it's like
it.
that
It
is
is how
that,
it-
that's
that's-
that far away.
Right.
We can tell you
Exactly.
we can tell you a very specific number of how many millions of years it would take a beam of light to get there.
Yeah.
What?
And that's what
Wait,
blows
what?
my
I mean,
mind.
that's kind of like the thing when you look back in history. It's like at one point in time, it was for certain that the Earth was flat, and it was then, and it was like recently that the Earth was flat. I think it was debated.
Up until
But-
500 years.
That's coming back. Yeah.
and then
It's like Britney, it's back.
after that, it was like, okay, we revolve around the sun. We're the center of the universe, the Earth, and that was like that's a fact.
Yeah.
That was a fact at one point in time.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? So like
Galileo, they were going to cut his head off
Change.
for saying
Yeah.
everything.
Facts aren't
yeah,
facts.
Yeah, absolutely.
Truth isn't truth.
Yeah, so I mean,
It
I don't know.
changes.
It's if you want, if when I look at the broad scale of things, it's all through science. It's always been the church versus science.
Yeah.
All through history, through the Renaissance, through the Dark Ages, everything. So
They'd
it's just
kill you
that-
if you didn't believe it before. I
well,
mean,
it's just the idea to me that
I had a
it's
cousin,
It's
actually.
you can have people that say that religion is a fool's errand, and they can say they know, but what they know is that at first there was nothing, and then
there was something.
Then there
And
was
then
light.
magically.
So it's just this idea that just
Right.
because like you take religion that like humanizes it, it gives you like a human figure.
emotional factor to
It's just
it.
it's just the idea that you can say that you know when you don't know.
yeah.
So it's just the idea of like what does nobody know, and it's just about everything they say. You can
well, you
theorize-
don't know what
you
you
can
don't
theorize it for
know
sure.
type thing.
We should take
you
a
know?
break on this.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good note to
I think
take a
so.
break
Yeah, I
on.
think
Yeah,
that's a good spot to
Rob shaking
yeah,
his
let's come
boots.
right back.
Yeah. I mean, I think Rob wanted to get off because he was like, I don't know how to
He's like, oh,
answer.
Mike, he's
There's too
back.
much good
Mike,
information.
he's he's beat me up too much.
All right, guys. Hey, we're gonna be coming right back.
Fake
I
face,
think
fake
Joe's
face,
here.
fake face.
You're popping Joe in on the
Yeah,
panel.
I'm gonna step out. Thank you all.
Absolutely. Thank you, Rob, for sitting back down
Thank you,
there.
Rob.
Absolutely. See you right back here in just a second. Bonfire Banter. Signing out.
Space is fake.
And we're back. Bonfire Banter coming at you with the second segment here. Mike is still hot. He can't stop talking about it. He's also he's undo your vest for a second there. He believes so much in NASA that he's actually purchased this hoodie of Neil Armstrong.
This is actually made of spacesuit.
Oh,
That's actually the
that's what they
exact
wore.
same material they
Yes.
used
Yeah.
on the moon.
It's Neil Armstrong's actual top of the space.
I like that they put those
Crazy.
these pockets are probably really helpful. In
It spits
space.
a lot of moon rocks.
Yeah, a ton of moon.
Hunter Muraks from Studio B.
All right, Mike, there was one thing. But we're going to get into JFK here one soon. We could even get into the next segment. We'll see. It probably pop up here anyways. But I still want to stick with the moon for 1 second. You had talked about a couple things off screen. I even tried to bring it up last segment, but you were talking about like gravity and how like these guys were unwilling to like jump or something like that. And something I don't know much about, but you were like, they're scared to jump, but driving like a rover around the moon
Yeah,
was
it's just
okay.
like, I don't know, it's just little stuff to where it's
They were
where
afraid to jump?
It's all about
'Cause
safety, but
Okay.
I mean, there's no. I mean, they were preparing and theorizing in media and
Yeah.
newspapers and talking about, well, if you can lift this on the Earth,
Yeah.
you can lift this on the moon, or if you can jump this high on Earth, you can jump. All this stuff that was like, how high can they jump? How fast can
Yeah.
they run? All this stuff, and they didn't do any of that because of safety and you
Yeah.
puncture a suit, you're dead. But then, like, if I'm not driving a ATV
Yeah.
and the vacuum of space, or one little mishap, one little
Yeah.
thing goes
I
off,
don't
like,
see the problem. I mean, I've never.
Oh, no, it was just
crashed
like-
ATVs.
No, they're easy
Yeah, me
to
neither.
not
Me neither.
crash. Yeah.
Yeah, no,
You've
but
never
it-
crashed them before,
No,
have
never.
you?
Yeah.
No, you didn't have one
no.
like rolling.
I remember
Never
taping.
landed on your back.
taping your
in my life.
forearm shut. At
yeah,
one point.
no scar there at all.
Mike, famously, when we were growing up, we were at our cabin, and Mike had his story actually went like this. He said he was going down so fast down the pipeline that he started losing control, and he shut his eyes, and then landed about 10 feet in front of the four-wheeler after he hit a tree or something along these lines, and then turned around and kind of watched the four-wheeler rolling at him, and then it stopped on its wheels with Mike underneath it, with the chain still running right by his head,
The muffler on his
and the
back.
muffler on his back burning him.
I know one thing. They're not
Burns.
letting you,
I got
NASA's not
pictures.
letting you drive the moon.
No.
That's
No
for
doubt.
damn sure.
No
Not so
doubt.
much.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know. It's, I don't know. The moon is just silly.
But when did they drive that
Yeah.
ATV or whatever
Yeah.
it was? What was it? The first time they landed on the moon? The
No,
second,
no, no.
the third?
No.
Can you
Yeah.
guys check that for us?
Yeah.
Rob
I'm
thinks
when the
it's
rover
third.
was
Like, I'm pretty sure it was after the one where
Rob,
they
pull that
lost
up.
all the power and then still somehow made it home
Okay.
in the vacuum of space or
Yeah,
on the
it was-
moon.
it was
and
Tom Hanks
Then they
had
won a
the
bunch of
know-how.
yeah.
I think it was
it's after
mainly
that.
Tom
Was he
Hanks.
the second guy?
It was after they didn't even need electricity to go around the moon.
Wasn't Ed Harris in that movie too?
Ed Harris was in that movie. Ed Harris
Ed Harris
also
is
is the
that movie.
reason why the moon is lit.
Because the Truman Show.
Yeah.
Yeah. I knew exactly where you're going.
Yes.
Yes.
He's
I was gonna
the
say,
one
he
who
is the
turned
man in the moon.
Yes.
And the Man in the Moon, conversely, was the Jim Carrey movie about Andy Coppin. It's
Whoa.
all full
Now-
circle,
Yeah.
dude.
It's all conspiracy. Now
Yeah.
that you said that.
Now
Hey,
all
move
linked,
on
dude.
to the next topic.
Ed Harris,
Great.
Ed Harris
So
pulled
so that
all the
one's been
levers.
debunked. It's
Yeah,
fake that we went to the
next.
moon.
Yeah.
Clearly.
Clearly, JFK. Move on.
All right, let's move on to JFK because
I-
we obviously debunked that we never went to the moon.
Well, yeah, but I think the people that are going to be watching this from the moon, like 400 years from now, will totally be. wanna know how to
Actually,
watch the
before we move on, Mike made a really funny point right before we came on film, which I thought was interesting. I never thought of. He's like, yeah, people are telling us that like we're destroying the atmosphere to a point where we're gonna have to move to a planet that we're gonna have to like, build bubbles to live on,
Right.
and like Mars to like
No,
you know,
so,
get
I
the
mean,
build a
actually,
colony there.
I think what the diagrams say, it's we're going to dig into the Mars and we're going to live underneath the surface.
I haven't
Why-
heard that.
why not the
Okay.
moon?
But hang on. That was
No,
the
no,
point that he
so
was
not-
saying,
so
though.
not
He
in
goes,
that.
he goes,
So-
so if we're gonna go colonize the moon because the atmosphere fails and we have to live in this like bubble colony, then why not just make that bubble colony on like the planet that we're currently on
Yeah,
that
it's-
is going to lose its atmosphere?
Because okay, so there's a couple things about this. So real quick,
Well, no,
there's,
just-
there's a series
yeah.
on Netflix too right now, and it's Elon Musk is actually does cameos and he talks on it.
Netflix.
It's something about Mars, and I forgot what the actual name of the series is, but
Mars
basically,
attacks, I think.
yeah, is that it? Yeah, little green bubble heads and shit. Yeah,
Go on.
vaporizing. No, so the whole premise of the movie is it's like half now. It takes place half in the present, and Elon Musk and all these scientists, like flight engineers and everybody talking about how we're going to get to Mars, why we want to go to Mars, and all this stuff. And then the other half is fictional in the future on Mars with actors, and it bounces back and forth.
Elon is in this
Yeah,
thing?
he talks in
Oh,
it.
sweet. Okay.
So it's like, so then he explains like becoming an interplanetary race and why that's important to the human race, like to not basically not putting all your eggs in one basket. Like it's
Having
like
a
saying
basket,
like why it's like saying like why do people have
Guys, a bunker.
yeah like a bunker exactly like
a storm
you're
shelter or
increasing your odds of surviving in the solar system if you're not all just
Linked
on
to
Earth.
one.
Yeah, I mean it's
Constricted to one.
spread
maybe
the race
planet.
out over
strategy. Good
planets.
strategy.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's,
I guess that makes sense.
that's just the
Completely
point.
unfeasible and cartoonish, but it's like I can get it.
But people thought going to the moon was unfeasible, and we still didn't do
And
that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they thought it was unfeasible and they were exactly right.
Oh, by the way, I told Mike earlier in the garage that he needs to start a podcast, and his podcast should be named Violating Standards or something
Yeah.
like that. For
I think
violating
that'd be
standards.
good.
I got a new one that Justin just got. The mic is hot, dude.
Oh, the mic
Nice.
is
The
I
mic
like
is
that.
hot.
Nice.
right. Like the what is that? The block.
The block is hot. Lil Wayne, yeah.
It's,
But the mic is hot. Come on,
You
man.
think of
Yes.
Nelly.
The mic is hot.
Tell us.
Hey guys, the third. So it was Apollo 15
Apollo
Yeah.
15.
was the
Okay.
lunar rover.
And that's the third time we were on the moon.
third.
Okay.
Third time we went to the
And
moon.
did that rover come back with us, or
No, they
No, we
leave it
banned it.
there.
We
Okay.
abandoned it.
They leave
What
it
the-
there
what the-
because
Why
it
would you want to be
unpacks.
able to look at it? You know.
okay,
Yeah.
okay, right.
So
Study it.
But you can definitely unpack it, and you can set
But
it all
you
up.
can't bring it
and
back.
You can't put it back in. You sound like an idiot.
Why'd you try to launch
You
it off
sound like
the
my
moon?
girlfriend. This guy.
No. Let's play devil's advocate. Why would you want to waste the fuel and
Yeah.
energy of launching it back off the moon?
yeah, it's like when you go up to
And
Michigan,
what are
if
you
you
learning
bring a
from?
bunch of gear, like I'm trying to
What are you
eat all
learning
the
from?
food.
Yeah.
And
No,
then
no.
I
What are
have
you
to
learning
bring it back
from
home.
bringing it?
What are you learning from bringing it back?
Yeah, what are you learning from bringing it there?
They can travel further. They
Yeah,
can,
Yeah,
Go
it's
search
like
the
a
terrain.
travel,
You go
maybe.
drive around and take
So
a look
you
at
can
it.
drive around to do what? What did
Find
they
the
do?
different kinds of cheese that it's made out of.
I'm just-
Explore the,
Limburger
Mountain
the
and-
area.
Yeah, right.
I don't know, I mean,
Yeah, like
just
see,
a-
like okay, so
No,
eventually,
no. The thing is that they have satellite imagery of possible things on the moon that may be like a crater or something like that.
Yeah, I saw the
So they
face.
want to
I see a
travel.
face.
Yeah, they want to travel to those areas to go take
the
a closer
Martian
look
shit.
at that. You know, like have you guys heard? You know, there on the moon there's this like, or maybe on a different planet there might be a mountain there or something
Yeah.
like that. So they want to maybe
yeah, like
travel
Mons
to
Pubis or
that
something.
to take a look at
Mons
that.
Pubis.
Yeah.
I think that's what it's called.
Right, which is actually an underground city within
Yeah.
the moon.
Yeah.
So it's actually kind of, I don't want to get into all that.
Mons
right
Venus,
now,
go there.
But
Yeah, Mons Venus, Mons Pubis. It's all good. I know that I
Venus
did.
go there.
Mons Venus, go there.
I've also
Hi, Joe.
heard
We love
that
you,
there's
buddy.
a pretty badass underground club on the moon, and it's only like high. It's VIPs only.
right.
But
But
so, I don't
are
know
you
if
willing
any of
to
us are
tell
getting
us
it.
a little bit about it, or is that a
Yeah.
different
So
episode?
basically,
Okay.
it's you know, it's VIP only. Obviously, it's invite only.
Right.
So you have to obviously be invited. But the
that's what
trap
invite only
yeah,
means, right?
and that was it is. It is. But the biggest thing about this underground club is that they're able to, take the gravity out of it. So like dancing becomes like a you're all in
It's
the whole
difficult.
space. You could fit more people in the venue because now you're using all of the space. You know what I'm
Whoa,
saying?
wait.
That's huge.
I lost you a long time ago. What the fuck are you talking about?
Who knows?
The
Oh,
moon,
like, what the-
we're on conspiracy theories this episode.
No, I'm saying there's a club on the
bonfire
moon.
banter?
There's a club on the moon. And you guys don't know.
It's like he
Well,
had the fucking
I'm willing
blueprints
to
of this
pay.
joint. What the fuck?
Justin, if you could make a few phone calls and get me in, I really appreciate it.
We're not
But
there
on
yet.
to the next whatever.
Okay,
What
let's
is
stop talking about this. Okay, this fake club that it's.
I was like,
I mean,
so many
anyways,
hypothetical things.
Anyways, let's talk about JFK for a second here.
please.
We're jumping over this one. Mike brought up a point that I did not know, which part of history apparently, that when you go picking a parade route, We're driving
so-
past. I
yeah,
mean,
the
obviously we
coincidences
didn't
are
know
a
that
lot.
this is the guy that wanted to kill or they wanted to, pop JFK
Yeah, it's
off.
like the one person that wanted to and was willing
You
to
drove
take
by
the
his
shot.
work.
You went by his work and gave him a
But they
primo
didn't know
shot.
that. They didn't go like, oh, well, we've been
I know, that's-
knowing that this guy's
Yeah,
wanted to
you know.
pop him off, so we're gonna drive.
Which
you
are what
know,
are the odds? That's kind of my point.
I mean, like,
It's like you wanted somebody on the scene, you
Yeah.
go past the guy's work.
I didn't know that. So
I mean-
and what you're talking about is that they
Yeah, the guy who killed
the
Kennedy
parade
worked at the
route
place he
or
shot him from.
whatever was
Let's-
on the route of where the gentleman.
Let's start with
What?
let's start with
I don't know.
things that we do know
Yes.
that people think couldn't be done but could be done if it went down the way they say.
Well, the shot itself.
okay, start
though.
with what you want to
Yeah,
say.
please.
Okay. If somebody wanted to shoot 3 rounds as fast as Lee Harvey Oswald supposedly did from that story of the book Suppository Building with a Mannlicher Carcano rifle bolt action, you can
You don't know any of the details about this, huh?
I know the weapon. Well, we know the weapon because
Yeah, no, like, sorry,
I
you
don't know the
plus World
I
War
don't
II
know.
weapon.
Yeah, well, yeah,
Okay.
that's fine.
6.5 Carcano was the caliber.
Yeah, it was in 6.5 Carcano. But
All right.
so they proved this on an episode of Penn and Teller that you can, and I think Penn Gillette actually
Can't
did
fire it
it.
off that fast.
You can rack the bolt that fast and shoot in that allotted time.
Yeah.
So that's
A moving target the size of
no,
a
I'm
hand.
saying you can't get the shots off.
Right.
Physically, you can pull the trigger that
Regardless
fast.
of
Well,
the
physically, you can do it.
Yeah.
There was some speculation that it couldn't even be done.
You couldn't fire that fast with
Right
that
with
weapon.
that weapon. Right, correct.
okay.
But that can be done.
Which is the kind of thing that would be speculate over the speed of shots taken and completely ignore the fact that we drove by the guy's work.
Oh yeah.
I mean, maybe
Yeah,
it was
maybe
a
they-
coincidence for him where he was like, I'm kind of feeling like I
This
want to
is-
pop off the
I mean,
president.
today
And
might
it
have
just
to be
so
the day.
happened
The
that they're driving
shady
by my
part to
work.
me. The shady part to me
and,
about
and,
JFK.
and he's got to get a convertible for it too.
Well, that's, I mean,
Which they
any
changed.
presidential
They-
parade,
well,
if
they-
you're in a
they-
convertible.
with that
Well,
fucking mug,
Well,
I'd
they
have a
don't do
convertible, too.
presidential parades like that anymore. At least I don't think.
I wonder
so.
why.
Yeah, I wonder why they wouldn't do it. Yeah.
Can't see him.
Because
Yeah,
this
you
one
can't.
time
You
this
can't see his
guy-
fucking pretty fucking northeastern face if you put him in
Yeah,
the
I
fucking.
mean, just all the perfect changes to vehicle and to route and
Well,
where
JFK
thhere
was
they're
the
going to
last
do it.
good-looking
and-
president we had, besides the last guy.
Bite your fucking tongue,
Yeah.
Jimmy Carter.
But,
Jesus.
Jimmy Carter's a good-looking guy, I guess.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
well, I
Barack's
guess
a pretty
it's, more
good-looking
of an
guy. I don't,
opinion,
know.
Barack was. I think
He's a handsome guy.
yeah, Barack was beautiful. By the
Hey, can I
way.
get
Yeah.
a see if I can give me a little
Mike.
toss, a little toss-a-roo of a Miller Lite? Right
All I
here,
know is
right
I'm-
here,
That
Richie.
was my
I
own
got
personal
my
help.
eyes on
The
it.
mic is
Toss
going to
it
be
in,
hot
I'll
for
grab
different
it.
reasons.
Okay.
Embers are going to burn his jacket. I'm good.
I'm
Thank you.
good. Thank
Let me
you,
get one,
sir.
actually.
We'll do one.
I'll
We'll do
take one, actually, yeah.
All right, we got a couple of beers coming in here.
So
He'll do one.
I would like Joe to continue because he had
Yeah.
some really good. So the bolt, so the firing
Yes,
of
you
the
can get the
round.
shots off.
You can
is
get the shots off.
doable.
Physically,
Yes.
it
No,
is
no,
able.
what's
You're able to
not?
fire
Okay.
that gun fast enough.
So then the other thing is, so people say the magic bullet, right? So
Right.
That it turned and twisted and fucking.
right. Then
yeah,
it took a flight path and a ricochet that's impossible.
And I heard that they tested that with a spit.
Well, okay.
on
Here's
somebody,
the
and
other
it's-
thing we know. Here's the other thing we know that.
I'm sure they actually, yeah, they definitely did.
Here's the other thing we know is that
Steinfeld,
that-
I
I wonder,
that the
wonder what they
president,
sacrificed to pull
the
that gun off.
president's skull and head moved in the direction of the shot. Now,
Also-
now normally you'd think that that was a evidence that the shot came from in front of him or near like the grassy knoll, where people say,
Opposite
but
direction coming
yeah,
from?
when you shoot, when you fire that round, or several cartridges like that,
Yeah.
and you have that much exit matter out the front of a skull.
The expulsion of the
Yeah, the
heavy matter is what
expulsion of the
blows
matter
Yeah.
at the exit hole will actually push the skull
the opposite
towards the shot,
Gotcha.
which is really
So
weird
it
because it's
hit
not like the
him and
movie.
he
It's like
went
it's not like
boom,
the
boom.
it's not like the expenditure of energy throws people off their feet like in the movies or throws their head forward. It does the exact opposite. All the energy is transferred here, and then matter's expelled out, and
right.
it's slight because if you look at the video, it slightly moves forward and then it goes back.
Isn't that something like a forensic expert though, with like the nose blood splatter and things like that?
Right.
Would be like, that's clearly not right.
Well, I mean, it's impossible to
mean,
know the
you're
detail.
saying
But there
basically-
are some forensic experts that, like, it's just.
You
I
can
don't want
actually
to
say
jump to a
whatever.
different conspiracy. There was just like 9/11.
Okay.
Is you got engineers. They're going to say yes, the steel beams fucking heated up enough to bend and weaken the structure, and then you're going to have others that say no, it's not possible. And it's just the fact that 9/11, there's never a building like that has never been hit by that big of a building, been hit by a jet plane before full of fuel.
or turn to dust.
You
and
know,
shit,
I wish that you knew anything about 9/11.
Yeah, I don't know nothing.
Do you know anything about 9/11?
I don't really get into that.
yeah,
I don't know anything.
Never
about any of this.
case closed. 9/11 Commission. I
never
say
forget. You know?
case closed. Pretty much all there, right in the
No doubt.
report.
Yeah, it's right in the report, dude. They covered everything.
Right there.
No doubt.
All right, let's get into that one. Maybe we'll toss that on third segment.
It's a whole new
Okay.
episode.
So I want to know
hold it. Yeah.
why. Okay, actually, I'll bring this up first because I had heard a theory that when the shots were fired, that the Secret Service that was riding behind JFK misfired and shot. His bullet was the one that killed JFK.
Oh, that's
because
a theory. I didn't know that.
I heard that one.
I
I thought that was interesting. Have you heard that one, or am I just making this up? I think I've heard that one.
Yeah, I've heard that it was actually a Secret Service guy that
Like it
did
was a
it.
misfire,
and
like
the
car jerked,
yeah.
and he pulled his trigger because it.
And he
Your
accidentally
gun
shot forward?
Yeah, well, because he
or-
had his gun, he was sitting in the back behind them, and you hear the guns go off, and then his car kind of braked, and he hit the trigger on accident because he was sitting right behind JFK.
Oh man, just shot Marvin in the face.
Dude.
Is that from?
It's a Marvin in the face type situation.
Yeah.
But wait, can
Well,
I get back to something more of like the core of it is why do people think that there's a conspiracy behind the JFK shooting? Like,
Well, I
what's
know
the
that a lot of
main-
people. Well, wasn't it highly contested because he was Catholic? He was the first Catholic president, and like people
Well, there's a
didn't
lot
like
of
him.
things that supposedly the Kennedys had tied to the mob real heavy.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah, there was like a
look at
perfect-
Illinois and stuff and the
Huh?
election stuff.
The mob elected
Yeah.
they controlled the labor unions.
Right,
In the 60s,
I know
they
that.
controlled
I've
all the
heard
unions.
that.
And that's why he won because he won the labor unions.
I've
Well, he
heard
won all
that.
the union. He won all the support.
He won Illinois.
Yeah, he won
because of
Illinois. He won. I'm sure he won a lot of
heard
union
that.
heavy cities in the 60s.
And this is gonna really
This is
show
what
you guys. I don't
unions
know what
had
the hell I'm
weight.
talking about. And I almost feel stupid for asking this question. Was he Republican or Democrat?
Democrat.
Democrat.
It was okay.
Yeah.
Definitions are
I don't know if
skewed. It's like all
Okay, it's a little
Were
different.
any of the
Yeah,
Kennedys
yeah.
before him?
So we're gonna end it right
Were they
here.
all Democrats before him?
Two.
The Kennedys. They're always Democrats.
Yeah, yeah.
I
Yeah,
think
all
so.
of them.
I
His
think so.
dad.
Like,
Every
I
single
know,
one.
I know Joe was. He was like,
I don't know. I think they switched.
I
at one
thought they were all Democrats. I don't know.
I don't know.
Okay.
Well, I know Bobby. I mean,
Well, that's a
Bobby,
different
you know.
conspiracy.
Yeah, absolutely.
oh, no, I mean,
Ted
there's,
So the
there's other
reason-
stuff too, where it's like, by chance, the guy who killed Kennedy, they were able to just get a nice camera set up, like a movie quality camera, and then just get Jack Ruby walking up and killing him, and no trial. And
Yeah, and Jack
Jason's over
Ruby-
there.
Who's Jack Ruby?
Jack Ruby was a
Oh, the one that
gangster
killed Lee Harvey
Oswald on video right after he left.
when he
the
was coming out of
station.
jail.
Oh yeah.
So nobody actually
Oh,
ever
right.
heard anything Lee Oswald ever had to say. Which is convenient.
Which?
Isn't he like an airport or something like that?
No, he's
No,
walking out of the police
when I-
station.
he was walking out of the police station.
Okay.
I'm
I'm
saying
thinking
So
of a
Jack
different
Ruby
person.
coincidentally too had really strong ties to the mob. He was into the mob for a bunch of money.
he
He was
was
a
like a
known
very-
mob
yeah.
hanger-on associate.
So
Yeah.
would it make sense that the mob
Told him to settle to that.
Well, okay, that's what I'm saying. Is like the JFK was
That's
doing
so
something that he was tied with the mob, but then at some point, like
He didn't
JFK rubbed
follow
him the wrong way, or
through, maybe?
something?
Ooh,
right.
the rub.
Well, you're saying
No,
when
no,
he
no.
got hired, he was a mob related.
No, no. Lee
JFK.
Harvey Oswald wasn't in them. The guy that killed Kennedy wasn't. The guy who killed Lee Harvey Oswald. was in
Gotcha.
it. Jack Ruby was tied to the it was New York mob, Kansas City
Okay.
mob, something like that.
Yeah.
Killing the guy
He
that
owed,
killed
he owed a bunch
your
of money.
guy,
He was like a
kinda
known gambler, degenerate. Had a long rap sheet, and one of the theories was that he owed the mob a ton of
So
money,
much to where
and they
this is
told
the
him
only way
like
to
it's
get out
time to
from
settle
under it.
up your fucking debt.
yeah.
But
So you do
they
it.
go
you-
after his family.
So you totally do it the day he blows the president's head off as he's being taken to prison.
Well, that's been done before, though. Is that a government's been able to brainwash
It's
somebody?
convenient to let some,
Derek
a mob
Zoolander-
hitman get
Derek
within 3 feet
Zoolander.
of
Derek
the
Zoolander
president.
actually was a victim of the same kind of crime where he was talked into killing the prime
me a
minister of
second.
Malaysia.
Took me a second
And
to
that's
realize that.
just fact.
Is this Franz Ferdinand? Is that
That's just fact.
I don't know.
I mean, and I don't know how they were able to. I think it was the right round record that they put
Right.
on that made him.
Yeah.
Made
that's
him go
what
crazy.
that's what they did to Oswald.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. They gave him the Derek Zoolander treatment.
well,
I mean,
no,
was Oswald a male model before? This all
Yeah, he
went
invented
down?
Blue Steel. That's,
I can't tell if we're
and-
on a conspiracy.
well, no, and
Follow Zoolander.
and ironically, the barrel of the Mannlicher Carcano was blued steel, dude.
Whoa!
I'm just
Now
saying,
it's all
all
making
together,
sense.
yeah.
Okay, so we debunked JFK then.
Yeah. So Joe. So what about
Done.
the?
Next.
Yeah. So with Connolly, who was sitting
Oh,
in front
Connolly,
of JFK,
yeah, Governor Connolly,
Yeah.
right? Governor of Texas at the time.
Yeah. it
Was he
yeah.
governor of Texas?
And that's
Yeah.
what happened. Right, happened in Dallas.
Yeah, it was in Dallas.
Yeah, Dallas.
Yeah.
Okay,
So Connolly, we have the magic bullet thing, and you can just look at diagrams if you don't know the magic bullet theory, and just kind of.
Yeah.
Well, didn't it like hit a Secret Service guy in the arm, and then it like hit him in the head? But
Well,
hit him
when
in
they
the
went like
arm,
did
and hit-
Connolly, it went through his wrist and
Yeah.
stuff, and there was so the interesting thing about that is they find after they get Connolly from the scene, get him on a stretcher, get him to the hospital. Then when
Connolly is a Secret Service agent here
Connolly's the governor, but he's
the
sitting
governor.
he's sitting in front of Kennedy.
He's the
in the
governor
car.
of Texas.
in the same car.
He's in the passenger seat,
Gotcha.
front passenger seat. Yeah.
Okay.
So they get there, and then on the stretcher, they find the bullet that killed him, but there's more bullet. There's fragments of the bullet that are in Kennedy's body.
Okay.
So there's more bullet than there is. If you take the
The
bullet
whole
that they
bullet.
find
Yeah.
and take the fragments, there's too much
Doesn't
bullet.
matter.
It's like
Okay.
it's
so-
like finding 6 pieces of pizza and a pizza that's missing 2 pieces. is
Yeah.
insane.
Yeah. Okay.
And it's like there's fucking way more pizza.
Yeah, why is there more pizza than? Yeah.
Sorry, I'm
doesn't make
really
sense.
hungry. Bro,
we didn't feed him
I
this
do all
week.
my
We gotta-
math in pizza. Bro.
It's the easiest way to learn fractions. I know that much.
No doubt.
Oh, yeah.
So
if
I
your
just
family
ate- I
eats
just
4
ate
pieces
2/3 of a
and you
pizza.
eat the other
doubt.
4 pieces, how many?
Let's be
how-
honest. I'm
We're not
eating
doing
fucking,
math right
I'm eating,
now.
I'm
Yeah.
eating
Come on here
11.
for math.
I'm eating 11
That's
12
not what
of
I
that
signed
pizza.
up.
12 12s is for them.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying
yeah.
it got wrapped up with a nice tight little bow, all with no way to rebut it. There was nobody. We have Lee Harvey Oswald unable to defend himself in the court or say anything or have a jury of his peers decide if he actually
And
wanted
it's
to
a
do it.
similar
and-
thing as like a Jeffrey Epstein situation, right?
I
mean,
was
it's
just
like,
gonna bring that up.
Yeah, no,
Honestly,
I'm saying
I was
it's
just
like,
gonna
hey, a
bring that
guy
up.
with a lot of information.
It's like, what-
dies.
what-
Sounds
Interesting.
similar
What's
to the future.
one of the last things?
How old
What's
is
the
Hillary?
what's the
How
last
old
thing
is
Lee Harvey
Hillary
Oswald said on video?
I don't know.
What was
What's
what?
the last thing Lee Harvey Oswald said on video?
What
No,
was
I
it?
don't know.
Like, I didn't kill
me.
the president. I'm a patsy.
Oh,
And he goes
really?
into a room and then they kill him and he comes out.
Oh, he said I didn't kill the president. I'm a patsy.
I'm a patsy.
Like
What
a
is that?
setup.
That was
Like a
his-
setup.
That was his word. Yeah, you can watch it.
Like
Yeah.
I'm the scapegoat.
like a scapegoat.
Scapegoat, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's like a thing where he's saying that, and then they bring him out. He's dead now, and
Well, if
he
I
did
was
it.
guilty,
We have all the
I'd
evidence.
say some
It's
shit
open
like
and shut.
that, too.
That's true. I mean, that is also true.
I mean, come on.
You know,
If I was guilty, I would say anything I could to get
To
out.
try
I
to-
would say
yeah.
they
This-
set me up.
this one
it
is-
wasn't me. Whatever.
This conspiracy theory
That's true.
is proliferated for so long because there are so many of those things where it's like,
Yeah.
how could this? But then how could this? And you know, I don't know if we really know. Like, I'm okay with partly like believing this one.
Yeah.
Like I usually don't go down the rabbit hole, but JFK and like I think Rogan says that too. Like he's pretty much an alien. I'm on the alien train.
I'm on the alien train.
I'm on the
too.
alien train big
Dude.
time. I
Let's
gotta
go.
say.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people come around to the alien thing. That, I know we're jumping off topic, but
No, it's okay.
like the Bob Lazar and all that
Yes,
stuff.
Balbazar. We
Yeah,
just talked about that
dude.
last segment before you got
Oh,
here.
my okay.
We talked about Balbazar a little bit.
Yeah, and it's like, man,
I've never heard a
like,
guy that was
I
so
will
intelligent
say,
sounding.
I will say about Bob Lazar is like I like the Bob Lazar thing,
Okay.
but man, if he seems like he could be the most talented guy that could really, really nail down.
No.
I just
Yeah,
feel like
it's
he was the first guy that I heard talk about stuff
No.
like that sounded credible and it sounded like he was like, take it or leave it. Like,
Yeah.
I do that in sales. It's called the takeaway. And basically, that's what he did in his documentary. He's like, I don't care if you believe me or not.
Yes.
This is what happened.
Yes.
You don't need to believe me or not.
Yes.
But I saw it.
Yes.
I know what happened. And that's fine.
I
if you
wanted to
believe
touch
me.
base on that. Is actually
Yeah.
one of the things I was watching is he actually came out a long time
Yes.
ago about this as
And
well.
they
So
wiped his record off of
Joe
every-
Rogan wasn't
yes.
the first thing
No.
like
No.
you're hearing about.
yeah, he's
In
right.
the 80s, he got
And-
big, but they stopped
That's right.
listening to him. They said,
And
you're a crazy person. You
one
don't
of
know
the
nothing.
one of the things I watch on a channel I watch on YouTube is called Body Language Ghost, and it's this lady who has videos of people talking.
Dude, I
and
know
kinda
exactly what you're
analyzes-
talking about. I'm so into body language stuff on
Yeah,
YouTube.
right. Well,
yeah.
she
Body
kind of
language
talks
is
about the
interesting.
body language
I watched
and
a ton of
you
porn
know
that's
the way
similar name.
where they look.
Yeah, it's
and
like you
if
can
they're-
tell somebody's lying based on-
and,
yeah.
and she's reviewing
Ghost
Bob
theme porn.
Lazar, and he is consistent every single time
Yeah.
he's
That his
telling
story
the
doesn't
story.
change. His story
It
doesn't
doesn't
change.
change, and
It's in
he's
the
super
same-
calm. And look it up for yourself
and
because
it's
I can't
similar
tell.
stuff that he said in the 80s when they said he was crazy.
That- yeah.
He has the same story from
That's
when
exactly
he was there.
right.
Well, and
So
It's interesting
It's
for sure to
almost,
look
it's
into.
almost
I
hard
mean,
to deny
oh, yeah,
that.
no.
I mean, if it isn't real,
He's a
this
good-
guy
damn
truly,
good actor.
No, he truly
Or
believes
believes
it.
it. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? So either he's missing construed or whatever
Yeah.
it is, but
Or he saw some evidence that made him feel this way,
yeah,
but it was just
but
something
when you
else.
have those
that he
the
didn't- yeah.
past and the present videos saying the same
They're
thing,
same.
Yeah, and you
Yeah.
can imagine, you have people who 20 years, they're like, I had,
misremember
this guy,
or-
I had
Yeah.
a
So
sexual
it's not
relation
even-
with this guy, he raped me, or
So-
whatever it may be, and then that's totally something that they
So it's
created
not
in
even
their
it's
mind.
not even Lazar. It's
Sorry, that was.
it's guys like
Yeah,
Mike.
yeah, they're
It's guys like Mike Baker.
Sorry, cut that out.
It's not even Lazar. It's guys like Mike Baker who
Who's Mike Baker?
he worked for the CIA for a long time.
yeah,
like-
Joe Rogan's butt buddy.
Yeah, he's a butt buddy of Rogan, but
Yeah.
it's still he brings up some valid points where it's like the Pentagon did have a division that was looking into unidentified flying objects,
Right.
But-
The unexplained objects flying. There's several accounts of Navy and Air
Yes,
Force
that
pilots
just
seeing
came out
things
recently.
that
Okay, so
they
no.
can't explain physically in the atmosphere.
Fox
No,
News
but,
has been
but this is
showing light to that. Yeah.
These are the kind of things when like I see things that are seemingly disconnected, that somehow connect, and it's the time when Bob Lazar is talking about anti-gravity and machines that use no energy at all that can curve gravity and fall through space by creating that.
His
whole
definition of
idea.
how that works made so much
Yeah,
sense.
well,
Well,
then-
they
so real quick.
interact with each other. If they're in a close proximity,
Yeah.
that's how
Okay,
they kind of.
so as that comes
All right,
out,
that's
as,
what I'm-
as that technology comes out, the credible guy that's told the same story that it's very believable. If you're a skeptic, you can see Balbazar and you can believe what he's saying.
Right. Yeah.
And then, so as of today's what, the 12th?
Sure.
Yeah. So December 11th. So this is yesterday.
Okay, yeah.
It's just funny that we're talking about this.
That's what they want you to
So
believe.
astronomers just found cosmic superhighways for fast travel through the solar system.
Like wormholes kind of thing?
Okay,
or
so
black hole,
in
or-
our solar system,
Yeah,
they-
yeah,
wormhole.
so they have discovered conveniently a network that, this is quoting, can transport objects from Jupiter to Neptune in a matter of decades rather than much longer timescales on the orders of hundreds of thousands and millions of years.
And what source is
That's-
this? Or what? Who's printing this?
Yeah,
Uh,
where's
this
the
thing-
onion from?
Yeah, I mean,
Babylon Bee.
I just have screenshots of like the article thing, so
No,
I
I
don't
got
really.
you.
Oh, I'm sorry. I just wanted to know the source.
But it's just a thing where it's like
I don't know.
when I don't know. It's just a thing where it's
MSNBC
interesting
totally.
to find things.
Sorry,
that
we're gonna get
are
yanked
so
off
conven-
fucking
it just,
YouTube again.
I don't know. There are social
I hope we do.
trends and norms that develop, and it's really easy to now say that we can actually travel instead of millions of years. It's going to take us like a decade. A dude can do it.
Oh, decade is
But
nothing.
it's
Yeah.
easy.
Even for the
You know, it's
human
like-
race, but there might
so
be
it went
races
from,
of.
So it went from impossible
extraterrestrials.
to fathom the
Right.
distance to yeah. Of course we can go there.
Well, there might be extraterrestrials that live 1,000 of our years
I'm saying
that could
we've
easily.
never-
make
we've
that.
never-
But that's the
Right,
reason why
absolutely.
the alien thing makes so much sense to me is because for our planet, we're in this Goldilocks zone of like not too far away from the sun, not too close to the sun, to where it's a habitable temperature,
Yes.
and all that, and that's great. But every single star that we're seeing out there, which we can only see maybe a tenth of a
Small
percent of
small
something
fraction.
of what we're
Right.
seeing. They all have things orbiting around them.
Yes.
And to say that there's no other Goldilocks zone thing that has a
Yes.
similar
Well,
consistency to us
because that's
is,
the- that's
to me,
the-
I think that's ignorant to
Well,
think that
that's-
there's
that's
no and billions of
At
billions
least,
of
at
possibilities.
least somebody
Right.
who shuts out the possibility of that is somebody saying like
You're being ignorant.
ignorant is it's beyond ignorant
Well,
because you're
it's
saying
the assumption
I
telling
know
me,
that it's not
the assumption telling me
Right.
that
That's stubborn.
the
You
way
know the unknown.
the way physics works,
stupid.
100 million light years away, and all the materials there have to be the same as what we have here.
And that's
It's like, science is by definition observation.
Yes.
So the reason it's science to measure gravity because
Yes.
we can drop something a bunch and
Yeah.
it's convenient. No matter how many times you do it, it's there. You cannot observe what that is. You can't guess what it is based on different spectrums of light.
the
You
one
can't-
thing that
It's
always
like black holes are a theory.
yeah
and-
you don't really
It's
know
like
that.
if you're theorizing that, like
No.
you have evidence that they exist.
But Matthew McConaughey fell in there, and he like there's so much time went by, and he did
He
not
went on the
age.
water
Yeah.
planet.
He didn't age.
Yeah.
It gets to be edified though, for
Great
sure.
movie, but no, but there was
That is a
actually
good
a black
movie.
hole photograph for the first time.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's
I
not
heard
real.
it was an anus,
but
but that's just me.
Yeah.
they're only
where your mind
theorizing.
goes.
I'm just saying it reminds me of, and again, not to go down a weird rabbit hole, but
Uranus.
that's the kind of thing that reminds me of reminds me of like a dinosaur type thing, where it's like the guy who said dinosaurs are real is the guy who went out and found the dinosaurs when he said he was going to.
What do
It's
you
like, yeah, black holes are.
Yeah.
It's completely based on the fact that you can make the numbers work.
Okay.
Like all
Yeah.
Steve Hawking did was he showed
The
that.
numbers don't lie.
Yeah, so the numbers can work. So theoretically, it's possible. And
Yeah,
then
like-
you happen
like I
to be able to
said,
take a picture of it.
even
when
gravity-
everybody said you can never
Like
take a
he
picture
said
of it
about
because
physics and
Right,
other.
so it's
That's
just interesting
like
how it all
physics in the multiverse or physics on in other galaxies, dimensions, universes, whatever.
Right.
Even in our science, we still call it the theory of gravity.
Yes.
Yeah,
The
like
theory.
We're theorizing
No, it's-
that this is the way it is, even
No,
though we
it's-
have
it's-
observable outcomes.
No, gravity's a law. It's like the
Right.
one law.
So
Right.
Okay, yeah. There's
But if you talk to
Alien.
talk to any physics expert, the tippy top of it, you say what's gravity, they'll look at you like you're
Right, you
from
still can't explain
from
it.
Mars
one thing that I always found interesting
because you can't explain what it is. You just know it happens.
Yeah.
This falls when I
So
drop
the
it.
things you're told this
it's
how
like-
it works
it's like,
and
you
see
guys-
the outcome.
You can look at Newton, who said it was being pulled. You can look at Einstein saying it's the fabric of the universe pushing us down.
right.
There's a million. It's like Newton and Einstein had opposite theories on what gravity was.
Yeah.
But Albert Einstein writes a paper in 1905, and there was like
Well,
that explains the entire universe. It's all done.
If I just want to reiterate, if I'm
Let's have this. Let's have this nice
if
and
I'm
tight.
understanding it correctly, like for example, we have our gravity the way it is because of
Yeah.
the mass of the Earth,
Yeah.
kind of weighing it down in this plane of space, right? Have you ever seen
Yeah.
kind of that diagram of the us weighing ourselves down and the gravity that
Yeah.
comes with that? And the moon, the gravity is lighter there because it doesn't have as
It's
much
not as
mass.
much mass.
So it's not
Yeah.
weighing down as much and not kind of creating as much. And
Like
there's really
sucking
look
shit
up
in.
this video. Anybody out there or any of you guys, if you haven't seen it, this guy does like it's a big kind of circle like this, and there's almost like a
He puts the
tablecloth.
sheet and he tightens the sheet. And puts the weight
Yeah,
in
and
the
he
middle,
puts like something in the middle and then marbles around it, and it
Oh,
kind
yeah.
of circles. If you've
It's the kind
seen
of thing you
that,
drop a penny in at
Yeah.
the zoo and watch the kids.
It's like
Like,
it's like
the
if you're on a
same type of
mattress and
thing,
you
but
put it on a
it
mattress.
shows-
Vertical force or some shit, right? Or
yeah,
similar.
I don't know if
Yeah.
I'm talking about the right thing.
you're,
maybe,
you're
but
looking
it was
at
very
you're looking at
interesting to
orbit
see.
around
Yeah.
Yeah,
mass.
and I
That's
think
right. That's what I'm
and
talking
if
about.
I was
Right.
a betting man, I would say that the motions of the bodies around us act like a bed sheet does.
A bed sheet.
Comfortable.
Yeah, I mean that's like that why experiments funny.
How many?
As
What's
the-
the thread
like,
count? What's the
In
thread
the middle
count?
of the night.
You're talking about a bed sheet with something depressed in the middle.
Yeah, so no, but I'm saying no, I'm
What's
not.
the
I'm
thread count?
Like
kind
the
of like
closer they get to us, the
well, I'm saying
the
it's like
heavier
the idea
it's
that
pulled.
you
Like,
could
right.
that something you could see that we can do on Earth.
Mm-hmm.
That to take that and say we can 95% of the things in space we'll never be able to detect.
Yeah.
Dark matter.
Our
Nice
eyes might
cover
not even
for
be able to
everything.
see
So,
and
yeah.
detect the
No,
things
that's
that are floating
exactly
around.
right.
Yeah, so it's like
dark
You're
matter.
right.
That's what it is.
yeah, so they say so it goes from
Well, even on Earth, I mean, you could potentially be things floating around us, but our eyes can't
What's-
grab that frequency.
Well, it's
That's
air,
right.
wind.
That's what I'm saying. There could be orbs floating
Yeah,
around us all day
frequency
long
is
that are
radio waves.
Right.
So-
yeah, so
No, you're right.
Things
I
like that,
understand.
So at
yeah.
the same time, there's a singularity, and then in all directions, the universe starts and expands.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there is a flat plane fabric that everything works on.
Yeah, well, that's
is
what
like-
I was
it's just
talking
like
about.
it's
I
a lot
don't
of things
know
that just
That's
don't
what I'm
work
reiterating
together
what I've
cohesively.
heard.
So then is the multiverse theory, is that like several flat planes on top of one
Yeah.
another? Is that?
Yeah, so
and then
I-
would a wormhole be like a jump between those fabrics?
Well,
Right, that's
that,
good,
the
yeah.
wormhole
Or-
would be like if you're just bending it. So it's
Oh,
like if you
who
have 2
does that?
points.
Who does that?
Inception?
No, that's Interstellar.
it's-
That's
it's like a
Interstellar. No,
experiment
wait,
they did.
no.
When he folds it and he sticks the
No,
It might
pencil.
be
it's
like Event Horizon
Interstellar.
or something.
I'm
Maybe Event
telling you,
Horizon
where
they do it. Maybe. Might be
No,
Event Horizon.
that was Bro's eyes, dude. He got burned out.
No, it's Interstellar. I'm telling you, it's Interstellar.
But yeah, but it's like the idea that you can take 2 distant points,
Yeah.
fold this fabric, and then now
Right,
you can,
yeah.
And now you can
Right.
cut through.
Yeah.
Oh, no, that's
Which
Stranger
again
Things.
is-
That's
So we
Stranger
had.
Things.
So we started on.
Sorry,
What
different.
did we
topic.
start on?
JFK. Or no, we started
No.
on the
This
moon
thing was started moon landing to JFK to aliens to the laws of physics. Baby.
All right, we're gonna make
All right.
we're gonna make a cut there. So we'll be back in just a second. Bonfire banter. We're gonna keep stoking your minds, but you keep
Yes.
stoking those fires. All right.
Hey.
space is fake.
And we're back.
Hammering.
We're hammering. We're coming in. We're coming out. All right, listen. There was one point that I wanted to make on the last segment, and we're gonna jump into something else here soon. I know that we're all anxious to talk about, some other more current conspiracy theories, and we'll get into that in just a second. But the one point I was trying to make in the last segment was, I think it's ignorant for us to think as a race that what we know about life as it is right now is that to live on an Earth, you need oxygen, you need H2O. That's like what those are the elements of life that
Right.
we all are saying. This is
can't live
definitely what you
without
need.
those.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we have to look for planets that have those things in order to create life. But how do we know that there isn't some other species that is breathing in carbon, that is emitting helium,
breathing-
or
Breathing in carbon for sure over there.
But
you can actually live off
Because of the
carbon.
wi- 'cause of
no,
the
but I'm
wind
just
direction.
saying. You know what I'm saying, though. How do we
Justin,
know that? How do we know that
I'm
that's the
saying I
only
haven't
way to
had
create
oxygen
life?
Justin, I
20
think
minutes. There's been nothing but carbon.
I think it might be to sustain a planet to be able to sustain life as we know it.
As we know it.
As
And-
we
and
know
that's
it.
how people say it.
But-
Right.
But it's like we don't know how all life is created.
But-
Just to give you an example,
Yeah.
50 years ago, everyone would say light has to be a constant thing. You need sunlight to live. And then we end up finding out in deep sea there is zero light that is getting down to certain
Right.
depths, and there are things that are
and they're
surviving
actually
them.
not. And they're actually not.
And they don't need.
They don't need oxygen. They don't.
No.
They're
Well, it's like, yeah,
work
it-
off of
it
nitrogen
doesn't-
and stuff under.
That's what I'm saying. That's exactly what I'm getting at.
Well,
is
Even
that-
on our own
yeah,
planet.
yes.
yeah.
It doesn't make sense to be
Or
able
in
to
volcanoes.
Have,
Yeah.
There's organisms in volcanoes.
Yes.
Don't
well,
need oxygen.
you wouldn't have been able to imagine life being able to be sustained, like you said, with no light and with
Yeah.
10,000, 20,000 feet of pressure beneath
Sure.
the sea.
Yes.
With no problems at all.
But these things,
Like,
skeletons are like,
well, I'm saying-
have evolved to like where the pressure is exactly what they need
yeah, it's
to
like
survive.
when you can see, yeah,
They
it's-
adapt.
Adapted.
Right.
Yeah.
Adapt. Yeah.
Adapted. Yeah.
yeah.
Well, but my thing is that, there might be, if the first alien life form we find is some bacteria on Mars,
And
I'm
that-
not going to be satisfied personally.
Okay,
But
hey, I
Not
totally
enough
get
for
where,
you.
No,
I
I
totally
mean-
get where you're coming from.
Yeah.
But that is life, though.
No,
That is
you're
still
right.
Life.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so we don't know what current state the life that we find is going to be in. We don't know
Yes.
how it's evolved. We don't know what it's evolved to. Does
Be
it
a
have
microorganism.
Yeah, so
somewhere.
does it have a
Yeah.
consciousness? Is it sentient? We have no
Yeah.
idea.
Right.
what it's
Right.
gonna be.
But that doesn't mean that that's not
that
life.
doesn't
No.
mean that it's not exciting.
Yeah,
I agree with that.
Every discovery is exciting, and that's why I think the draw of space always is for,
So
especially for guys like
intriguing.
Elon Musk.
Yeah.
Is it's always going to be intriguing to them because of
The
the unknown.
possibilities
Because of
of
the
the unknown.
possibilities.
because tomorrow you could just find out
Oh, of
the
course.
thing that changes
It's right
everything.
around the corner.
Yeah, but at the same
any moment.
But at the same time, it's expanding faster than light. So we'll never see outside.
How do we know it's expanding?
Well, we'll never see outside the observable universe. So
Yeah.
you'll never know anything.
And that's the thing that's funny to me is
Well,
like when you're saying like
you actually
space is
cannot
constantly
know anything.
expanding.
You'll
How
never
do we
know
that?
everything.
Is it? I mean, we're just being able to see further and further.
Like we actually can't go anywhere.
I'm not a I don't understand.
Hey, Justin, to your point, kind of what you're talking about with the certain elements that are required for sustainable life.
Yes. As we know.
Remember bringing it back just really quickly to Bob Lazar, how he was talking about that there was an element.
that they didn't know
that they didn't know about.
Yes,
And
yeah,
so,
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
Element 115?
think about that.
Yes,
There's
element
elements that we
115.
don't even know about that could sustain life.
and that have since we made the periodic table that people have discovered and said, "Oh shit, we got to add this."
We just
because
can't
now
make
we've
that-
realized that this is an
Yeah, there
element.
could be compounds and molecules in
Yes.
other plants. You have no
That
idea.
we have
what-
no
Exactly.
idea.
And that
Exactly.
could create maybe more intelligent life and
Yes.
whatever it may be. So
And that could be the reason, like, that you have someone curing cancer or figuring out, like, how to keep you hard when you get older, past, like, Viagra or something like that,
yes. Yeah. Is there something you want to talk about off
If
screen?
you land on Mars,
I've been searching all 7 continents
I think
to
Elon
find
Musk
this.
said if you land on Mars and your erection lasts for more than 6 Mars,
gotta call the space
days,
station.
Yeah, call,
Yeah, so,
call ISS.
so another thing I thought was interesting because it's on topic of like the physics and space and
And
stuff.
boners and stuff.
It's like so
Boner jam.
everything, so,
Still talking about that?
so everything we base our exploration, our theories on is light, the main thing, right?
Okay.
And light's either a wave or particle. Like everything's one thing. That's the theory. Except light can be a wave or a particle, depending on how you observe it. Right? So then it gets into like quantum mechanics to where the world, like, so if we look at the world as we perceive it, it's the physics that we can see, right? I see that glass, I see this microphone. These things are things that exist, right?
Yes. Tangible, I could
tangible
see.
things.
Yeah.
So it's the smaller the scale, the less sense everything makes, right? So
Yes.
this microphone isn't actually
A long time ago, we didn't know an atom existed.
yeah. So
Yeah.
it's the idea that you get to quantum mechanics and it becomes the smartest people just say, if I look at it and I can see it, that's not where it is. We don't understand it. We actually can't understand it. And it's like the smaller the scale, the bigger the scale. We have no understanding, but we get it. Trust us.
Yeah.
That's like how I look at like theoretical
That's
physicists.
what I
and
thought.
stuff.
You're
It's
talking about what I talk
just
about
based
with
on other
the
theories that you can't
nova and
prove.
just
That you
believe
just
it.
are just
Wasn't
building
there
this
a
weird
particle-
wall of
wasn't-
theories. that
Wasn't
you-
there a particle recently, though, that they realized that was smaller than an atom that we never knew existed?
found
well,
Higgs boson?
they found the Higgs boson, but it
Yeah,
didn't.
they found
Right?
the Higgs
But it
boson, yeah.
wasn't like the exact weight. So there's other particles that they still haven't completed the picture.
Oh, I see. So they said a theory that the Higgs boson was so they deduced that it was real.
Yeah.
But then they found other things that made
They didn't find
that
the
had
Higgs boson.
attributes that had
Like
attributes
we haven't,
unlike it.
Yeah.
like we found this out, but we still are finding out other
Well,
information that
maybe they
means that like
can't-
there's something else out there that we don't understand.
But which again
Yeah.
goes to this idea that you have these elements. There's one thing missing,
Yeah.
right? This all works together if we have this one thing,
Yeah.
and then you find it,
Yeah.
or like, it's one of the things where just because you theorize it's true because the numbers that you made up can make it true, doesn't mean that it's gonna exist how you say it is.
Yeah.
Right.
And it just
The one
seems like
thing
we
that I
always
do
find.
know that is true
Like the
is
black
that
holes is like Stephen Hawking, a picture based on what he said about black holes. The picture is the exact same thing.
yeah.
But it's like,
Oh, really?
how can you're taking a picture of the silhouette of a black hole, this weird fuzzy thing? It's like proof. It's like, it's just, it's
That's
really
where
hard to know.
that comes back to what I was talking about earlier when I'm watching these Nova TV shows
Yeah.
or how the universe works, and they're making these large claims, and I'm supposed my father reiterates them, and I'm supposed to sit there and just be like, wow, so that's the way it is because
That is,
that's
yeah.
the way it is.
Well, I like theorizing and fantasizing or romanticizing space a little bit because it drives theories of like things that may be possible.
Yeah.
So if you romanticize and fantasize about space, even if you end up not being entirely correct, at least it doesn't
Still pushing
limit,
the envelope, kind of.
yeah,
thing.
at least it doesn't
Yeah.
limit the possibility of what's possible.
Yeah.
I mean, it is
Right.
possible that we're special.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It
That
could,
is
like,
possible.
it could be very possible.
it's
that
just
there-
Scary though.
in all
Yeah.
the
But
in
it
all
is
the
all
universe,
possible,
in
though.
all the universe, and all the expanse of what we are now realizing and how big it is. Humanoid,
ever-changing.
Yeah, humanoid kind of people like us that are walking upright and stuff like that. We might be the only race anywhere in the cosmos
That's like
that is
this.
exactly like this.
Well,
which is
yeah.
the reason why like a lot of people I feel like will shit on aliens are like, oh, you think they're walking around under their grays or whatever the hell that people are saying that these are. It's like that doesn't that's not the only end all be all on
Dude.
is there life. And again, we're going back to like it could be bacteria, it could be
honestly-
microorganisms.
Right.
It doesn't have to be a person standing on two legs
Which-
walking around.
but
Like,
honestly,
there's other
as
life.
we know it.
Yes.
But here's the
Honestly,
thing,
I only
but with-
shit on aliens when they probe me anally.
I've only,
Yes.
that's the
Yes.
only time I've ever shut an
Because
alien
it
too.
loosens your. It loosens.
Yeah, I know. We've all been there.
I learned that a long time ago.
It's
with
not
the
my
past
fault.
girlfriend.
It's just
Yeah, well,
God, dude, we're experimenting
but-
here.
but-
Like,
but here's- but
you
here's-
gotta do interstellar experiments.
You
This is
would
where
have
it's
to
gonna
your
go.
wife to experiment that way for a long time, but
Whoa. Dude, she's a subscribe, one of our 14 subscribers, so let's not
we're up to
rub her the
79.
wrong way, dude.
That's blasphemy. We're up to 79.
Okay.
okay, well, you're alienating 179th of your audience.
Yes. So big,
You're right.
which for Joe Rogan is like 90 million people.
I
So
want to say, back to, what we were talking about.
Where were we talking about?
So we were talking about the
no
the
clue
life
what the-
forms and the periodical, the elements required to have life.
periodic
So
table.
what I wanted to say was, how I don't know if it was the Navy, the Air Force, or whatever it may be, they had the videos of that, basically the pill thing that was flying around that was stopping
Tic-tac- the
and
Tic-Tac-
starting
Tic-Tac
and
UFO?
whatever.
Tic Tac, Tic Tac.
The Tic Tac, thank you. And I mean, imagine, there's nothing that we know of, physics wise, that would allow that to do that.
Yes.
So if that whole thing is real, let's say it's totally real and it is something from outer space, right?
Yeah.
For that spacecraft or whatever it is to be able to do that, you would think that there would, and if I'm making sense, that they would have some type of maybe their own periodic table of elements that they have to allow them to do something like that.
you know
So
what's-
our periodic table is what we know on this earth.
Right,
Well,
but you
we've
know
discovered
what's
currently, yeah.
you know what's crazy though? In order for an alien race, let's say they do have other elements, another
Right.
periodic table that we don't know
That's
the
what- yeah.
elements on, they still have to work within our laws if
But
they're
no.
flying in our atmosphere.
Maybe they don't.
have to
That's
They have to understand our
If
physics.
they're coming here, they have to understand our physics
Exactly.
for
But maybe there's
So they
maybe the
have
multiverse
knowledge of
thing is
physics.
true
Which
and-
makes it handy that physics are uniform throughout the
But we
entire
only-
expansive infinite
we
universe.
only
We
know
can't see.
physics to what we can comprehend. So maybe there's
does it-
something that
but
we're
does it
not
mean
able to comprehend.
They just understand physics on a fourth dimensional level that we don't understand.
Exactly.
That's what I think is more
I'm
likely.
talking, that's why I'm talking, that's why I'm talking about us.
Right.
How do you explain that?
Right.
You just say, no, all physics are uniform. Einstein said so 100 years ago. He's right.
That might
Exactly. No, it's the same point of
While
everything else
riding his
happening in human
steam
history.
unicycle.
He had a thought of like if he was on a motorcycle or on a
Yeah.
big blade around. the
He didn't
moon
know what
or
a fucking
curve, so-
microchip was.
Explain.
A fucking apple hit him in the head, and
Can I bring something up?
This is the fucking universal.
well, it's like-
this
wash
is
your
what I need
hands.
to do on the episodes when I start to get too
well-
drunk and like I can't like
Yeah.
keep my composure.
Well,
Just wipe your.
I want you.
All right, guys,
Sit
we're done.
back.
We're done.
So it's like another obvious thing I thought about once was, so they're telling me that
Get him, Stormer.
Yeah.
how did we discover that what electricity was? It's a real story that we learned that Benjamin Franklin put a key on the end of a kite. It got struck by lightning, and
Such a good cartoon story.
it's
for
such
that.
a silly thing. It's like I have this
It's
thing.
easy to explain. What are you going to explain? The Tesla
Well,
fucking new.
I don't know the story,
Nikolai
but
Tesla
we have
fast-
it.
Here's a
Nikola
rule of thumb.
Tesla actually did something.
We won't get into
way
that,
back
just a
when.
Here's a rule of thumb. I think here's a rule of thumb I live by.
Go.
Fascinating individual.
If you don't tell kids the truth about anything,
About what? you
about
said?
just anything.
anything
Like,
because
there's
they're
a
too
bit,
dumb to
it might have been a
understand.
Dave Chappelle bit or
Yeah,
something where he's
of
like,
course.
it's like, yeah, I'm behind on the mortgage 3 months now. Like I'm kind of freaked out. Have a good day at school. You never tell.
Yeah, no.
So when I
You
see
lie to 'em
things,
about everything.
So when I see things that the story and the excitement you're trying to build
And the truth.
when you're 5 and when you're 40 are the same. So dinosaurs.
Do you feel
it's
like
the
our
same story.
government? Do you feel like our
Faith,
government does
weird.
that to us constantly?
No,
That's
no.
what I feel like.
I don't think
No.
it's.
I feel like we're the
I feel-
sheeple.
I
I
think-
feel we're the sheeple.
But I
and
feel
we'll
like-
be fed a story.
I feel like the exact description you described of a parent feeding toddlers their lunch
Yes.
and telling them
Is how the
how
government
life is
treats us.
No,
is how they've treated us for
that's
the
exactly
last
what I
like
think. Yeah.
forever.
But I
and
wanna
we
add to
and
that.
we've
Can I-
just decided now to like fuck you.
Can I-
Like
can
we
I
don't
add
really
to that?
believe you.
Because
that
the
much.
internet has now given us all the opportunity to find any information we want.
Well,
It's
that's
a
why
fantastic
that's why it
tool.
pisses me off when people get zucked because it's like you're not allowing people to find that information.
Yes.
But can I
With-
add- can
like
I add
even
to-
if it's the wrong information, I'll decide what's right. and
I'll
wrong.
tell you what is
Yeah.
right and wrong.
Like-
Well, Cody, just real
Cody,
quick,
and
just
let-
give me
yeah,
one
no,
second.
go
That's
ahead,
just
go
I
ahead,
wanna
please, yeah.
It's just, it's the biggest logical fallacy we have in our whole society. Was this idea that, well, like, I don't understand like how the physics of buildings work. So like I can't say if that building would.
Someone trust the engineer.
I'll just be a
Someone
farmer.
trust the
Well,
engineer.
it's the idea that, so because they paid to read the book, you can't read it? I don't understand.
To read the book on
You
physics?
can
or-
definitely understand
saying like
engineering.
because you went to college.
Yeah.
And you paid for someone.
So
to
so
tell
if you
what's in that
don't,
book,
so if you
couldn't
don't, you think
understand
I
it
can't do
yourself.
it.
Gotcha.
Well,
yeah.
well,
Somebody wrote the book. Somebody
actually,
knows the facts.
also-
But
Why
so you,
can't I find it out
so you,
myself?
so the person
Why
wrote
can't
the
it be
book.
autodidact is the
Well,
word.
the person wrote the book to teach you.
Yeah.
So why do you? It's one of the things where it's.
You're
I don't
taking
understand.
that
They're the
person
expert.
that
They're the
wrote the
expert.
book.
What does
Yeah.
that mean? You're the
You're taking
expert.
that person that wrote the book for face value of saying, I'm reading this book and you say you're the expert, so I'm going to take everything you say in this book as fact.
So you fucking people,
It's
dude.
appealing to
To
authority.
their,
You got these books? You're the wrong fucking books, dude.
No
to
doubt.
their
All right,
defense,
Cody, go.
to
Cody,
their
go.
defense,
Cody, go.
Company's
when
manufacturing
you're in
2%?
Hey, whoa,
college-
whoa. Let
when
that
you're
Cody
in-
go.
Like when you're in college and you have to write a
Thesis or
research
something.
paper
Is
or
that a good
whatever
book?
it is, you have to go into a database
Yes.
of I forget the
Peer-
the term-
peer-reviewed articles.
So
Yeah.
like you know
Peer review.
the things
It
that
is
are
peer-reviewed. I
know, it's
documented
silly.
in maybe scientific journals, they've been peer reviewed and they've done a test and they've said, okay, here's my conclusion from the test I've done, and here's what I say is fact now.
And other
it
people
has
in
to be peer reviewed
Yes.
and everything else before it can basically become kind of fact. So one of the things you're saying is like, why isn't that public knowledge? And that's a totally different discussion. But it's like
let 'em
you
go.
have to have access to some of those databases of scientific journals and things like that.
And you have to be willing to go read them and try to articulate or understand all that writing
Yeah,
and
and
put all that
but
information
science-
in order to even put your own spin on it.
That's right.
You
So
have to be able to
scientists-
read it and comprehend all this information. It's probably beyond most of us.
Scientists don't just write a paper and say this
There it
is
is.
fact. They say, here's my hypothesis, here's the research I've done, here's my conclusion. And other people go, okay, well, I've done
No,
the same
but-
thing, and
Listen,
actually
but-
I came to the
No,
same
Listen,
but
I'm
here-
not a
but here-
smart
so
man, but
now
I know
with
what
science-
love is.
I do also know what love is.
Cody, so
Yeah.
but here's the interesting thing about peer review. It's like you have all the people that all agree on the facts, that they all review paper and they say if it's true or not.
Right.
So we have to ask, it's exactly what happened with Galileo. We have to ask the people who are solidifying this as fact
Right.
to say, I was wrong, let's let this through.
Well, and I
So who are you saying is wrong right
No,
now?
I'm saying it's just tough when you have 98% of
Well, I-
professors
What
believe
he's
the same
saying
shit.
is
Gotcha.
what he's saying is
Yeah, okay.
people take for granted the things that they consider fact.
No,
and when you aren't allowed, when you have peer review like that, it becomes closed-minded very quickly.
Like kind of like a
And
Goli-
not-
like a David versus Goliath.
No.
'Cause like the Goliath is like everybody, all their facts saying one thing, and you're David now sitting there going,
No.
I got an
Knocking
altering,
on the door
I
like,
got an
dude.
altering view here that might
Yeah,
be
yeah,
correct.
but-
And then it ends
but
up
you're
being
fighting,
correct.
but you're
Yeah,
fighting
yeah.
fucking Goliath here on all the
yeah.
facts.
That's
This
what
is a good
Galileo did.
example-
If I'm a professor at liberal arts college who's openly pro-life.
It's a good example of the whole.
That just got
is
to
a
say tough.
different-
I'm saying no, I'm saying it from like the political
No,
aspect.
I understand what he's saying.
People
Yeah.
believe the same shit.
It's an alternate
Echo chamber.
viewpoint.
That
like
is, yeah.
climate change. There's a lot of scientists who back it, and there's a lot of scientists who say that it's like kind of the science.
It is,
The scientific proof is BS. And I think what you're kind of getting to is now we're getting to the day and age where you actually have to question because they receive funding from
Exactly,
maybe
yeah.
government bodies to specifically
Question
say
everything.
that
Just
this
say
is
question
real, and
Which is-
and now
yeah.
you really can't trust any of those peer reviews because who are these
Who are they
peers?
being bought by? Who are
And
they- yeah.
That's right. And the fun
Who are they
and
beholden
so
to?
climate change is one of those big questions where a lot of people say here, like all the 95% of scientists say, but there's also a lot of other scientists who say this is
And
also
I
right.
guess- I'm guessing the amount of people that are funding these kind of studies, I can't imagine that there's a ton of different bodies that are funding these studies. Like,
There's super PACs.
and I
There's
don't,
super
and I
PACs.
don't know that I'm saying a facts here, but I'm
It's same.
feeling.
I agree, yeah.
I'm feeling as if the bodies that back these studies are probably
Have-
similar bodies across the board.
They have
So if-
a hidden agenda behind it.
and
yeah.
that's not saying that's fact or anything
I
else like that.
agree, yeah.
But the people that are funding most of these studies are probably similar people that are giving the money for the research, that are giving the money to do these studies.
And here's the
Yes.
problem. Here's the problem I have with some conspiracies that revolve around like the medical field or the scientific field. Sometimes it's not malicious intent. Sometimes it's just
probably
plain
excitement
stubbornness.
or excitement of
Right.
like we found something new.
No.
We think we have a lead.
No,
or we want-
No, I'm saying the opposite way.
Okay.
Like
Ego,
somebody that
almost.
has something new. Yeah.
Okay.
Like ego. Like,
Yeah.
Okay,
like
that'll get in the way,
scientists
yeah.
and people that have these scholars that devoted their lives to thinking a certain way,
Yeah.
publish papers about saying this,
And
and
they were
somebody
fun-
challenges that.
Yes.
You have a vested interest, your reputation for not believing those things that
Yeah.
counteract that.
See modern Egyptology.
You have funders.
Exactly.
Or
you
look
have
at-
Exactly, it's a
funders and
perfect
investors.
Or look
They're not
at,
gonna
look
say
at
they were
somebody that
wrong.
like has studied fucking
really hard
the
thing
stats
for you to
project
your whole life to
for
be
years.
wrong.
Yeah,
Or
it's
like,
tough.
I mean, there's a lot of people that have studied thoroughly, and people make fun of them, that the Sasquatch or these kinds of beings live in Canada, and that there's groups of them that we don't see. And
Can I give it an
And there's people that
analogy?
have studied that for years. That's their main thesis is like these group of animals or Sasquatch or whatever.
You know what?
They're there.
You need those people though.
Well, I want to give it
You
an
need the
analogy.
people because it might, there's that chance that it could be real. So I'm glad there's people out there
Absolutely.
that will devote their life. It's like seeing an oceanographer that devotes their life to one specific organism.
Yep.
And it's like, who the fuck would do that?
Yeah.
Right.
But then you're like, man, I'm glad that person's out there
Yes.
because I won't do that.
Well, to that
Yeah.
point,
He's
to
so
that point,
dedicated to that, or he or
to
she,
that point,
so
he or she,
dedicated
yeah.
to that.
They have
Or
they
Zed or
receive
or
funding.
Zed or Zer, Z or Z or
they,
he
them,
or
Z,
B.
Z, Zed,
They
whatever the fuck
receive
you are.
funding to reach an outcome, and maybe they have ego. They're normal human beings. They feel obligated to reach a certain outcome because they have this funding
A confirmation
and stuff
bias.
like that. So
Yeah.
they have.
It's a
I mean,
real thing.
somebody's not
You're on
going
a
to
deadline.
research
You're on a
that.
deadline that's saying, we're pumping you money. We need answers.
We got them.
We
You
need
got
answers.
funders and investors, and you have to make almost reasons for them to invest.
Yes.
But I wanted to make an analogy really quickly. If
If you're going
could.
to lose your job, or you're going to give some information that says, "Oh, keep funding us. I
That's
got
right.
a hot lead
Exactly.
here.
Real quick,
Keep funding us because I
Exactly.
want
Let me
to
bring
keep
this
my
full circle
job."
for a second.
I mean,
Exactly.
that makes sense. If
Exactly.
you're defending your livelihood, you might very well do things that are outside of your moral compass to keep your job.
Exactly.
So
that's what I was.
If I can bring
getting-
it full circle about the peer review stuff.
Yeah.
So when you're talking about the funding and stuff, it's just then you start to connect current events that all seem to be related, and it's like, okay, right when we have Balbazar goes on Joe Rogan, makes a huge splash, then we have TikTok UFOs breaking all the laws of physics that we can ever know, and then we're looking at space
don't
and
know about
finding
the
cosmic
TikTok
superhighways.
Well,
He's talking about
TikTok is a
Yeah.
platform
He's talking
that they
about-
were on.
Did I say
They were
TikTok?
also
I know
on
that.
He knows what
Fox
TikTok.
News.
I know
He
what
didn't
that
know
is,
about
but
the
I don't
TikTok
know about-
UFOs.
Wait, did I say-
That's from Brazil.
Did I say
That was
TikTok?
the one that
Yeah.
crashed
The Tic Tac.
possibly in
I just
Brazil.
The
get it
Tic
mixed up.
Tac UFOs.
It's like the
Oh, I
white.
thought you
It's
said
the
Tic
shape
Tac. I
of-
thought you meant the
No.
platform. I'm
I thought you
sorry.
said TikTok.
I know it's so hard. Yeah.
I was so
Yeah.
confused.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, sorry. So
It,
you
it
have
looks like a Tic Tac.
Yeah,
shape.
I have heard of it.
so then you
I
have
was
this.
like, so TikTok's like on the cutting
like
edge
the-
of finding UFOs.
I was like, wipe it out, wipe it out. UFO, bitch.
Yeah, so real quick, so
It's like an alien.
So think about just.
By the way, look up
Come out.
Juice on TikTok.
Yeah,
so think
I
about-
have all the
please, Mike,
finest
go ahead.
dances.
So think
Go
about
ahead.
just that Tic Tac UFO story.
Yeah.
Right?
Tic Tacs.
Most so most
Gotcha.
people will hear that,
I
and
like
that's
the
the
orange
thing
ones
that
the
even
best.
skeptics, like we're sitting here, and we give credence to the Tic Tac story, right?
Yeah.
So the idea that we're now saying, okay, well, instead of saying, wait, you're telling me something can break the laws of physics and descend 50,000 feet in a second, we're going past the skeptic part. It's like, dude, look at this. This can go 50,000 feet in a second.
Yeah.
So now when they find cosmic superhighways that make us travel millions of years in a decade, it all is like, well, we know the physics can be broken now. So if you want to fund more research, it's now the
SpaceX.
cosmic superhighways. We can actually
Or,
go to Jupiter if we want to.
Space
Right.
Force.
It's like, I
jump
don't-
in the Space Force. Yeah.
You don't even fucking know what Jupiter is, dude. You know what I'm saying? It's like it's like the probe that they sent to Pluto.
You're
They took
making
pictures.
large leaps there.
Yeah. So and this is
Well, maybe
so,
there's things that we don't
Make it
know.
large
that
leap.
There's reasons.
I mean, that's
for
the other
that.
thing,
And
though.
you're
is
not
that-
making large leaps
so-
with actual
I mean, is that
experience. You're
I-
making large
so-
leaps
so-
with
real quick, hold on, let me
theoretical
finish my
leaps.
thought.
Go.
So-
I like your point.
Yeah.
Thank
So you
you.
go to the long leaps. It's like we sent the probe to Pluto, took pictures.
Yeah.
Cover Time magazine. Everybody talked about it. So again, we sent a probe that was going to take 10 years to get to its destination. We knew that.
Yeah.
And then while it was going, we said, you know what? We could slingshot and use Jupiter's gravity and get there like 2 years faster, dude.
Okay.
Yeah,
And they-
but
so then they did it, and then they took the pictures, and they got within, literally, it's like throwing something from Maine to California and getting it through a fucking pinhole.
yeah, but
The idea that you can get all that, change the plan, use Jupiter's gravity to slingshot to save
that's
time.
rocket
And
science.
It's like,
I mean-
I'm saying
So
the
you're
amount
saying
of leaps you're
it's-
taking
So
there.
you're saying it's not plausible.
Well, I'm saying the amount of leaps you're taking there to get HD pictures right above the surface. Like, it's this idea like I have to take a huge leap of faith, man. A huge leap of faith that you can understand physics of things that you couldn't even imagine the
But
size of.
Maybe a team of people can understand.
That's what I'm saying,
I'm
though.
too
Like, I
dumb.
mean,
no,
I'm a fucking
we're not
Neanderthal. I
astrophysicists.
but again,
can't-
but again,
Yeah.
but it comes down to the fact that
There isn't a team of people that know these things a lot
Show
better
me
than we do.
in
That can make sense of
Okay,
them.
the deepest hole we've ever dug, the deepest drilling hole is
Dude, I
12
can barely
kilometers deep.
divide fraction.
Haven't we gone to the bottom of
Okay,
the
how about this
ocean?
fraction? How about this
I thought
fraction?
we-
70% of the ocean floor has not been discovered.
More than that.
Okay.
Something like
Definitely
that.
more than that. It's like
I actually
95 or
thought we looked.
something.
I looked up with my girlfriend.
It's
the
a
other
lot.
day. I
It's a
thought
large
we-
amount.
You could tell me
There's
any
somebody
number.
who's gone to the bottom of the
you-
ocean. I thought.
I don't
No, it's like
know.
the
Oh,
lowest
they've been
point
to
is
the
like
bottom of
10,000
the
feet.
ocean, but just not every part.
Yeah,
of the
okay.
Not the
What
bottom
were we
of
gonna
Mariana
get to-
Trench.
Were we gonna? Do you remember what we were gonna
No,
get
just real
to
quick.
from-
So the
Okay.
deepest hole
I don't
dug,
actually.
it's
Yeah, me neither.
the deepest we ever drilled in the earth is 12 kilometers.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, which is
It's-
hand in hand. Sorry, because
How many miles?
we're in fucking America.
Yeah.
Kilometers. How does that? Is that 24 miles?
How many
That's
football
less.
fields?
So
is
it's like
that?
Less.
Or is it
Kilometers
six
is
miles?
more.
It's like 1.8 or something.
Yeah.
Kilometers is
Yeah, perfect.
Okay,
70.
thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. So we've gone 7.5
Do the
miles in.
math for us.
So the radius. So let's just keep in kilometers because it's easier for the radius thing. It's-
Not for us, but yeah, go on.
but you'll get the idea. So we've drilled 12 kilometers.
Okay.
The radius of the Earth is 6,300
Yeah.
kilometers.
How do we
So
know
we've
So
gone
to get halfway
so-
through, you'd
so
have to
we-
be
so
30.
we- yeah, we've gone
3150.
Really scratch the surface.
So we've
yeah.
so we've dug 0.18% of the way, and we know how much it weighs. You have to go fuck yourself, dude.
Yeah, no,
it's like it's
kinda
seriously a
true,
joke.
because how do you know what's in the middle?
What's in
that
Jupiter,
could be
dude?
making the weight of
Wait,
it.
what's in the middle of Jupiter? If you think you know, you can go fuck yourself. Honestly,
So you're saying we don't even know what's in the middle of
you
our
can't know.
planet.
You can't
How
know
the
what's
fuck
in
you
the
know
middle.
what's on Jupiter?
You can't.
I mean,
like,
that's a good fair point.
I agree with that.
So you're making a lot of
understand
the stuff-
where that
So listen,
skepticism
so
comes from.
another-
No, I agree with
the
them.
middle of the Earth could be the most dense by 10 times the material of the rest of the Earth, and that could
And then that's
That's what I talk about on
changes all the calculations.
Nova
That makes
and
sense.
shit. Like how
Which
am
is
I
why
supposed to
new
believe
information-
that?
Yeah, I mean that makes
Right, so it's-
complete sense to me. It's
don't know.
like
But my thing, what I always come back to is these are like rocket science, whoever
Like,
they
they
are,
know more than
and
us,
it's all a
right?
mathematical formula that
Yeah.
I probably still wouldn't understand. But I just have faith, and like you said, with I think we were talking about the government,
Yeah.
like the government maybe kind of like tricking us, or I forget
Yeah.
exactly what we were talking about, but. I guess it just comes down to me having like a
little bit of
blind
trust.
faith.
Yeah, blind faith.
of them, like like
and that's I'd say 95% of our American society on a topic like this. You're
Yeah.
not going to find a ton of guys like Mike that are just going to avidly tell you that the moon landing was fake.
right.
But there
More now than
is,
ever, though.
but if you look into it the way that he has, the only reason why he would come out here with a point of view like that is because you've spent enough time looking at the facts to go, this seems
yeah,
a
and-
little
and-
fucking
well,
unreasonable.
and this is
but
what
the
yeah.
rest of us, and I'm not speaking for the other two of you, but me personally,
Well, those-
I can agree with that statement that
Well,
I
those
just made.
theories
That I don't know
persist.
enough.
Exactly. I'm open to
Yes.
anything I'm saying
Thank you,
tonight. I
Richie.
think we can all agree. Anything I'm saying tonight is
Is
kind of
bullshit.
I'm
No, I'm Regurgitating?
Yeah,
Regurgitating.
Regagulating.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Gagging all over. your words.
Congratulating everything that I've heard and like as far as I know.
Deep throating.
Deep throating. That's
Yeah.
the technical term for
Yes.
it. Yes.
Conjurgulating.
By the way, I want to say this. This axe
go.
is super sharp.
Okay.
I like to keep it razor sharp.
yeah.
It's been known to circumcise a gnat.
Yeah, I've been known to circumcise in that.
Wait.
Bug?
All right,
Gnat,
we're gonna take
bug? Weird.
Last point, just
All right,
coincidence.
Mike makes the last point. We're gonna take a break
brings up
here.
the
I
whole,
gotta
the peer
pee.
review thing.
My
It brings
feet are
all up
cold.
like what we know and why
Yes.
we know it. It's just the idea of like so why the politics matter so much because the history's based on it.
Yes.
Right? So it's just this idea of, and we're not trying to get it. We don't have to get in the election. We're doing a break.
Yeah, we're gonna
It's
get on
just
this next
idea
topic,
of
though.
if things were just to stop today,
Our next
and
segment.
everything with that stopped,
Yes.
the history books are not going to have two points of view. The history
Well, they
books
should.
will
Yeah.
just say.
Well, they gotta leave
Say
one way or the
facts.
other. Yeah.
This is going to state that.
Facts.
I'm saying the
Gotta
history books will
say
state
facts.
because they already are, and the presser's already saying it.
Yes.
That this was an attempt for Donald Trump to overthrow democracy, or however they're going to paint it. Like just like they did Nixon, just like they do everybody. It's always painted one specific way, and that's the story.
Yeah.
When like we're living through it, and we've never lived through history that is irrelevant to us until
Well,
right now.
like,
So it's like you
If
look at
we're
all.
go- if we weren't kicked off YouTube before, we're heading down that road.
I will tell you one thing.
Yeah.
We're gonna come back to this hot topic. We talked
Stay
about
tuned.
JFK. We talked about the moon landing. We're gonna come to you with a topic we didn't know we were gonna talk about tonight, but I kind of had a feeling we were gonna come to it, which is the current election and a little bit of fraud.
and fake stuff.
Here's Johnny.
And let's go.
Space is
Bonfire
back.
Banter coming right back at you in just a second.
Building 7, inside job.
And we're back. Segment 4. This is our favorite segment of the night because it means that we got through 3 segments and our panel still wanting to sit here and have some more content. So thank you guys for your time. I don't know if you guys could see this on camera, and it's hard to distinguish ash versus these flurries that are coming down.
Flurry.
But let me tell you one thing.
Please.
There are currently flurries falling, and I would also like to hit back on our original episode. Well, it wasn't our first one, but like the second or third one, we were sitting around a fire at like 95 degrees outside and trying to back as far as away from the fire as we could because it was so hot outside.
This one we're trying to get close. as
And
possible.
now it is snowing, and this is everything that we wanted Bonfire Banter to be, which was real people sitting around a fire in all elements. We don't give a shit what's happening outside. We're filming this thing. I wanted to first off start with some of our sponsors. Thank you so much to York Furrier. Again, fine outerwear and furs since 1931. If you guys are looking to look like the stars, you go to York Furrier, you get yourself a nice fur from there. There are people from shows that are being filmed in Chicago, like Empire and Chicago Fire and stuff like that, where these celebrities are coming to York Furrier. This is not a joke. I said the NASA thing.
Right.
That's not actually real.
Yeah.
There are celebrities going to York Furrier. They are a big deal. This
Right.
is not a mom and pop spot nobody knows
You know
about.
what? I wanted to say I think
So legit.
they're underrated. You know, they're affordable with quality, like real products, and they're
Absolutely.
willing to give out to a smaller kind of channel like you, like
For a company like them to care about something like us makes me feel like we're really doing something right here, because
Right.
at the end of the day, they don't need to help us.
right.
There's no reason why York Furrier has to be giving us stuff. They like what we're doing, even though our demographic that we're looking for isn't necessarily the fur buying
Sure.
community. We don't have a ton of super wealthy people on this show, but
Maybe like fur burger
Not yet.
loving.
But talk about those are expensive products that they
Sometimes you're
sent
like-
you.
Sometimes you're like a little fur on
I
the
mean,
burger.
absolutely.
Yeah.
They don't. Do they sell those at In-N-Out Burger? Do they have
Yeah.
a burger?
It's a number 6 double with animals, dude.
Okay. The other thing I'd like to get
double
through here.
fur burger.
Other thing I'd like to get through here is Moore Brewing Company
Yeah.
has continued to be a sponsor. We are actually looking. I talked to Aaron recently, who is the brewmaster.
Show
Yeah,
the glass.
yeah.
Show the glass.
Yeah.
Moore Brewing Company, again, thank you guys for everything you've done. We're talking to them. They might be giving us a package here soon
Sure.
to jump in and give us another giveaway. So I've been talking to them. We'll see what happens. No matter what happens, Moore Brewing Company's done more than we've ever expected.
Yeah, and check them out. The Villa Park, and not to mention
doesn't
they're-
like a-
Huntley's where they're based out of.
Yeah, who
and then
doesn't
they
like
got
a
the
Villa
Park.
Pills and Apricity?
Apricity is what I want to
That's
talk
their
about.
new one. It's-
Apricity is a new one. They got nutmeg. They have ginger. They have toffee notes. There's orange peel.
I'm
It's
half mad
delicious.
just thinking about it.
It
dude.
is a delicious brew. I would tell all of you to check it out.
Yeah.
I'm swelling up.
I
You know-
actually wanted to mention that I was just at Foremost off of Roosevelt earlier, and there's a whole bunch of more brewing products
Rob.
there as well.
Where?
One of the at Foremost Liquors off of Roosevelt.
That just
as
recently
well,
happened,
As
by
well
the way.
as sales on St. Charles.
Yeah.
A lot of more brewing products there. One of the ones that I saw was a blueberry vanilla something they had.
They
so
do all that
you
crazy
don't
stuff,
have to
yeah.
go to more just for their special things. You can also go to other retailers
Dude,
that
I'm
have
telling
know why
you,
that's
they got them
possible.
drip drop hitters, dude.
Drip,
That's all I'm
drop,
saying.
drip, drop. Listen,
They drip out of
the
them
reason-
growlers, dude, and you
hitter,
just like
dude.
This is only
can't even
recently.
handle that shit.
Yeah, dude.
Only recently has Moore Brewing Company gotten the distribution in the entire state of Illinois. That was very recent, and we're very proud of Moore Brewing Company for getting that distribution. That means you guys are doing something right.
Yep.
And a company like that is backing us, that means we're doing something right, guys.
Can I say something about more brewing company?
Go.
I think I
Let's
said it
go.
earlier, but
How much are they paying you?
I can't
enough.
disclose that information. But like I said, I mean, I'm 26 years old. I've lived in Villa Park my whole life.
So you've been
And
drinking for 10 years now.
That's right. That's right. And but I did want to say that it's nice to have more
Not
brewing
a
company
mathematician.
in Villa Park, right on Villa.
Hell yeah.
Because it's just enhancing the neighborhood in general. And I'm not just saying that because they've
Yeah.
sponsored us.
It used to be the Bermuda Triangle. Now it's like the quadrilateral or some shit.
That's right. Exactly.
Are a
I couldn't
man
have
of
said it better
geometry.
Dude,
But
We-
seriously,
I took geometry three times in
don't
high
forget
school,
about the
so
food.
He knows
Don't forget
about
the
Yama
food.
Triangles.
They have great food, and their menu is changing a lot of the times as well. So there's
Yes.
anything
Yeah.
you get on the menu is
They are
going to
great,
be
dude. I
good.
love more.
Other cool thing about a company like Moore Brewing Company is that a company like them cares about pairing food with booze.
yeah, they
That's
do.
right.
Which is a cool experience, because if you've never done that, you don't realize how beers and stuff can enhance food.
Right, and the
Go to a
employees are all educated
They're-
on that fact.
yes.
I mean, like I said earlier, it's more of an
It's like I'm
experience
sucking off
going
their
to
brewmaster
more.
right now.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we will continue to do so,
Get down
Aaron.
on my knees.
Give us some more free stuff, and we'll keep
Yeah.
sucking off the more teat.
Yeah.
All right.
Right.
Anyways, let's get into something that's more in the news.
More in the news.
More in the news. Is
I
this
smell a new segment coming out.
presidential election, which there are, you want to say conspiracy theories. Other people would like to say facts that are
Suppressed
being
information, maybe?
suppressed. Yes. But Mike, without saying a couple of words we can't say, please describe what you feel about
Not
what's
on
happening.
the nose at all. but-
Yes.
I don't know. I just think hypothetically,
Yes.
it's totally in theory.
In theory.
If
We're not saying this is true.
yeah, like, if
If
like there was a area that wanted
Fan
to
fiction
stop,
book.
like looking at votes and seeing how many there are,
Yes.
like, whatever word you want to use for that,
Yes.
and like
Please don't use a couple.
Yeah, so when one of the candidates happens to be blowing out the other,
Mm-hmm.
and at like 3:40 in the morning, there was like 140,000 votes that one person got like 136,000 of them. I think it'd be weird if that would
Either
happen.
way, if either one of
As a
those
hypothetical,
And-
that's
and
totally
hypothetically
Yeah.
speaking,
Are we all
if
going
someone
through and taking-
overnight took the lead on ballots that were only given to people in their house and they didn't have to give an ID in order to place their vote. That
This could be William
potentially-
McKinley.
That would be
could
a,
It could be
potentially-
anybody.
that would actually be a statistical
Andrew
impossibility.
Jackson.
Something
We're not
will
talking
be
about
more
anything
exactly, yeah.
recent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Saying any election.
Okay.
And it,
Yeah.
Yes.
So
I
what
don't
I'd
wanna
like to
jump
ask,
be
what
anybody
I'd
else.
like to ask right now, and I'm going to go to Mike again because I feel like he is the foremost expert that we have in this episode, is out of all the inconsistencies of the voting that has happened in this election, what is the most egregious to you that you feel like is the hot ticket thing that could help? The smoking gun. Thank you. That's what I was looking for. The smoking gun that could pop.
Oh
this
no,
thing
just
open. And
my-
don't
my-
tell me
yeah.
anything about.
no, just
Okay, yeah.
when you see that the election's going a certain way, and in the states that matter the most, the only ones out of the 50 that can't get all the counting done, they have to stop, and then but in the middle of the night there's gigantic vote counts that make no sense, and we're talking 578,000 for one candidate and 3,200 for the other, just in one state. So you can't when that's
And we're
happening.
not
in all the
saying we
swing
don't know
states-
which candidates we're talking
Yeah,
about.
yeah, it's.
We're
yeah.
just saying, you know,
No, it's well, I mean, it's that. It's the fact that one of the candidates somehow
them?
got 10 million more votes than the most popular candidate of all time got. That had his. It's
one
like a
thing
lot of
that I
things
think
where
is
it don't make
interesting,
sense.
by the way, I like to bring up because I think on social media, a lot of people keep saying, you know, one of the candidates got the most votes in all time of any election of all time. But then what a lot of people don't want to talk about is the other candidate that was also running, also before this election, got
Increased his vote
history
totals.
No,
breaking numbers
historical
as well.
levels of voting.
Yes,
of
it's
votes.
the person who has lost also brought in more votes than Obama did in 2008 that broke the record. So both candidates this year actually broke records,
we're talking
which is impressive.
Barack or Mike?
I didn't.
Mike,
Mike Obama or I don't know. Anyways.
Can I say my kind of preliminary statement about the whole thing we're
What is
talking
that?
about? So I was talking to a buddy about this, and the whole aside from the jokes and everything,
Yeah.
like it honestly kind of was like this whole thing is kind of difficult because, I can't say or I haven't seen evidence that proves either way the way that maybe I feel.
Mm-hmm.
And but what I do know is that there's powerful people who didn't want Trump to become president
From day
again.
one.
Again, right?
well, from day one, they've
Yeah, right.
not liked the fact that he's not from the inner circle of politicians, that are the people lifelong that are in the circle of the swamp or whatever you might want to call it.
Right.
Of he wasn't one of them.
Right.
Be it what either side of the
Right.
the aisle,
That's right.
he wasn't on either side.
So
he's an outsider.
What bothers me is that I'm young, I'm 26, I've just gotten into politics about 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Like learning a lot of things.
Right around.
And
when
I'll
this all became
support
big.
whoever if democracy, if the
Hey.
people, we the people voted for this person, I will, wholeheartedly wish the best for them. But what
Sucks
bothers
'cause
me,
everybody on the other side of it for the last 4 years wasn't necessarily that way.
That's true, but what
I
bothers-
agree with you because whoever gets elected,
Yeah.
I'm going to root for because I root for this country.
That's right.
I root for the United States.
But what bothers me to the core is that I just can't trust that this was a totally fair election, that there will always be some sort of cloud of doubt around this.
There'll be an asterisk.
And it just bothers the hell out of me that, some people say, oh, the government, is tricks you and you can't trust the government. And some people, and I'm like, oh, come on, you're kind of crazy.
Yeah.
But, and I want to think that the government and the whatever politics, those people
They're
have the
looking
best
out for our
interest.
best interests.
Yes.
Yes.
And what bothers me is that I can't truly believe that.
It's getting
now.
harder and harder to feel that way.
Yes, and that it just really, I'm not mad. I'm just literally kind of like in limbo, like upset that this might not,
Well-
like there's a lot of gray area here.
How can
here's a-
somebody have your interest in mind if they don't know them?
Yeah.
Well, but
Or you don't,
I'm talking
or
about
if you
not
grew up
my
in a way,
personal-
or if you grew up in a way that you were never around people that were living in the middle class or that were living in poverty or anything like that. Majority of people that are in politics didn't know anyone. They didn't go to public schools. They went to private schools. They were groomed in a way that they were going to be politicians.
I'm
And a
not
lot of these
judging
families.
their past because maybe they have good intentions, and I hope that. But
And even what I said, that's not everybody. And I'm not saying that every
Not
single
all,
politician
right.
was on a silver spoon and that was grown up in a way that they were given everything. I'm not saying that.
Right.
But I'm saying that I do feel as if a lot of lifelong politicians were groomed in a way to where the way they were brought up and the way that they were raised and the schooling they were given would point you toward one direction.
well, let's talk about the cloud of doubt. So there's a cloud of
Okay.
doubt over the election, right?
Yes.
So where does that come from? I think one of the
Well-
biggest ones is Georgia. They just recently had a video where they were kicking people out of the
mainly
center.
Republican
Yes.
viewers.
And there's a lot of testimony of people talking about that. They signed affidavits,
Yes, you got
which
right.
has legal repercussions on top
Yes,
of it.
you
if
have to tell the
yes.
truth, and just like
so-
being in the court of law.
So Georgia, they have a video of them pulling what is supposedly ballots underneath the
Did
table.
they not close down the thing? I think I saw this one. They closed down the shop so everybody
nobody-
go home.
nobody-
Yes, and
nobody-
all of a
they
sudden
pulled
they
out-
started pulling
So
out shit.
does anybody
nobody's
on the
denied-
panel
nobody
not
has denied
believe
the
that
ballot,
that's
though.
what happened? Does anybody believe that that was okay, or that maybe we're wrong for thinking that that's a little?
Well, here's the thing: if in all the hours of footage, if you can show me another time when boxes of ballots were taken out from under tables, I'd be like, okay, that's a normal thing.
right. So you're suspicious of that as well.
Just at the same time, they said they were done counting. Everybody left.
They sent everyone
They
home.
Pull out all these
Yeah.
ballots. At the same time, there's the gigantic peak in ballots that is statistically impossible.
and this is starting
So
to
it's like I
become.
The reason they sent those people home that night was because they told them we're done counting for the night.
we're
done.
no, there was a leak.
Allegedly.
They also
Okay,
said that
oh,
there were-
oh,
Allegedly.
So the
We got something off the camera, hand.
Yeah.
Mike.
So the reason that they sent them home was because there was a leak.
It was a
right?
leaky toilet.
They said there was a big leak. They got to send everybody home, right?
In what
So-
state is this, Mike?
Yeah.
Georgia.
Georgia.
In Georgia.
So
Okay.
what actually happened was there was a little toilet leaking.
Right.
Just a little toilet.
Yeah, they said a water main broke.
Yeah, they said a bit.
They said a water main broke,
they said there was a big leak,
and they said it was a
and-
toilet that was leaking.
Yeah, it's actually just a little toilet, and that's the reason they sent everybody home. And they said we're gonna stop counting. We're done for the night. And then people go home.
It was a
and
lady
they-
with the blonde braids, right? I think that's the lady that we're talking
four
about
people
in the
left
video.
behind
There's
who
a big
started
video
pulling
going on.
out boxes
Yeah.
from underneath the
and
the
they
tables.
and they say they're official, Georgia ballot
Yes.
holders, which I don't
Yeah.
know if suitcases were official ballot holders. But
Yeah.
I think what they're saying is don't trust your lion eyes.
Well, yeah.
My question was:
Well-
is that those are those ballots from underneath? Like I would like to believe that it's all good and nothing was wrong.
Yeah, we don't
But
like to believe that.
I mean,
I would
that's what I
love
was
to believe
asking.
that.
Does
I
anybody
would also love to
believe
just
that?
believe that. I don't want to go on a religious tangent.
But
Never mind.
what-
Yeah,
Just go.
anybody else?
What I
Yeah.
what I want to say though is 4.3 seconds ago, Democrats believed that Dominion voting machines were flawed.
I was
And
going to
then
say Dominion.
Now
yes.
all of a sudden we're just supposed to trust
Well,
them
no, I
with
mean
absolute
it's
certainty.
a fact that
bigger-
Russia interfered and completely rigged our election for Donald Trump.
yeah,
But now trust them wholeheartedly and don't ask questions.
exactly.
Well,
so
you know where the Dominion came
That's
from?
and that's the part.
So those
it's
are the-
hard for me to believe is that like you're sitting there for the last
Mike
4
knows.
years claiming that there was reasons why the election was rigged, and then we go into this election and the opposite side is saying, "Oh no, there's no, don't look into it at all."
If it
no,
was
it
the
can't
most
possibly be.
secure
Honestly, if it was,
election in
if it was
history.
the
They called
opposite
it.
way, it'd be the opposite argument.
Well, that's
That's how we just.
It's the same thing
Democrats
happened-
want to make you believe that if the votes came in the other way, that they, wouldn't be challenging it. They would just accept it. They would not.
No.
Because Hillary
challenged
Clinton
it without
already
evidence
told.
for
And
4
listen,
years and impeached the president.
At one point,
Right.
at this point in time,
Democrats and Republicans, they both be challenging it the same.
and I want to say
Right,
this
that's
right
what I'm
now.
saying.
I want to say this right now. our show is not a Republican platform, okay? We're not saying that. I'm not even a Republican. I'm not even saying that I view myself as a Republican. I view myself as an informed voter that is trying to look for the truth, and I will admit that I voted for Obama in 08 and in 12, and I want to put it out there that the Bonfire Banter is not a Republican platform.
Nonpartisan.
And we're not saying
we are nonpartisan.
we are just bringing up things that seem a little fishy
Yeah, but
that
our
we're
panel-
talking about. I just want that to be
Yeah, but
known.
all the panelists have certain views, and
Yes.
That's right. So
everybody should be able to say
biased.
those views without
Absolutely.
being taken
Sure,
down and
you have to preface
deplatformed.
anything.
Other thing I would also like to say at this point in time is if you are watching this episode and you do feel as if you lean a little bit more left, which
Comment
is
down
fine.
below. Right.
Not even comment.
Come on the show.
Come on the
Yeah,
show.
contact us.
Because the hardest thing we're having at the moment is I'm having a tough time finding someone that leans a little more left, which, again, I'm going to say that I lean a little more to the middle. I'm going to look at information from both sides, and I'm going to make my own determination based off the facts that I find, and I usually end up in the middle somewhere. All I'm saying is at this moment, if you feel as if you're watching the show and you like it and you lean a little bit more left, please come out.
Mike, what do you-
Please.
Mike, what do you think
We're
of
looking
guys
for
like
different opinions at all times.
It's a nonpartisan discussion, and we're
absolutely.
open to
Mike,
all
what do you think of
views.
guys like Tim Pool?
I don't know Tim Pool. Tell me
Like,
about
what do you
Tim
think
Pool.
about like guys like that claim they're moderate left, like left moderate,
Oh, Tim Pool,
he's doing what a lot of guys are doing. He's just like
saying what do you
on
think?
the fucking conservative hunger to hear things that are alternative.
like
and stuff.
saying
Yeah, I
popular
mean,
things?
I
Sounds
listen
like
to I listen to Timcast, and I like Tim.
Explain some of these people. Who are
Okay,
these?
so Tim Pool is a famous. He worked for I think
He worked for Vice
the
and then
Daily
did-
Beast or
He
BuzzFeed.
worked for Vice, and then he like
Vice,
he was
yeah.
on the ground and Occupy Wall Street and stuff. So he was like a guerrilla journalist thing.
Yeah, he's like
started
he's a
his own
guerrilla journalist that like got in with I think it was BuzzFeed. I think he worked it for at one time or one of those
Yeah.
one of those
I know,
like,
like
up and
Vice
co-
was like the main
Vice.
thing that got him.
Yeah,
like,
he
the
worked for Vice,
following.
and he got disenfranchised from them. And
From right down the street, actually.
what's that?
He's from right down the street.
Really?
Kevin
Oh, is he
McGinnis
really?
He went to
the
like
same.
one of the high schools that was like
Really close to here.
Yeah, he's
No,
from
no.
like right in our area. Glenbard
Well-
West, I think he went
Well,
to.
he
Glenbard-
claims to be like left moderate or whatever, and he he does a daily podcast or whatever, like Timcast. He does like three
he does
different
more
podcasts.
content than like anybody on the internet.
He does a
It's
lot
nonstop.
of content. He's been on Rogan a couple times.
Hey, good for him.
Yeah, he's been.
Keep pumping out content, guys.
Yeah,
It's
Well,
a
he's
tough
been-
thing to do.
Well, he's been on lots of different stuff, and I like listening to him daily because he offers a slightly different perspective. I wouldn't say it's not super leftist or liberal. Like he's definitely toward the center, no
That's
doubt.
what I'm looking for.
But
Someone-
there's not a lot of centerists these days that
No.
give you that content.
Well,
that
it's so easy to get content, to get viewership when you're
Well, it's easy
on
to get-
one
Well,
side.
it's hard to say.
Yeah.
And I get that the facts might lean a certain way at certain points in time and stuff changes, but when you make 98% of your revenue just bashing one party,
Yeah.
you can't stop. You can't keep
Yes,
telling me
exactly.
you're in the
right.
middle
I mean,
and on the fence.
and that
It's like,
makes sense. You're making money. I mean,
I'll-
Dave Chappelle has a funny thing he says about like Coke
He's
and
trying to
Pepsi,
bridge two
and he's
audiences.
like, "Oh, my favorite one is whoever's paying me most recently."
Yeah, and
And
I'm,
to
I'm
think
not
that
saying, I'm not saying
everyone
he's
isn't
like that or like he's
Well,
fake
well,
or
no,
something. It's
but
just like a, I don't know. It's I can see.
I know, but if you're making success off of doing one thing, why are you going to stop doing it, even if you don't believe it anymore?
I'd like
yeah,
to
but
touch
it's, like,
base
it's hard,
on
well, it's
that.
like he just does the little thing where it's the like is it? I'm not saying it is. I'm not saying I would support it.
He's
I'm not
bringing
saying I would
devil's
support it.
advocate kind of
It's
things.
just like a thing where
Yeah.
all of it goes one way, but you're like still the everything you talk about you agree with one side, but you say so you don't have to identify as anything. You can't say I'm left of center, like I'm a liberal and stuff. Like you can't do that, but all your content says you're not. It's just like it feels like you're trying to be the liberal that is making it okay to agree with some Trump stuff.
I'd like to
I
touch
feel like at this point in time,
Yeah, yeah.
we need to get more liberals on here to not do exactly what you're saying,
I'd
which
like-
is
I'd like to
tell
touch-
people that we're a non-biased platform, but
You
keep
know.
parading
I'd like to touch base
Republicans
on
up here.
that,
But
is that
yeah,
on YouTube, for all of our people who are watching, who are big YouTube people who watch a lot of different people, there's a few that I've been following for a long time. For example, if people watch YouTube a lot, they'll know who I'm talking about. For example, AIU, Atheism is Unstoppable. Mark Dice is a big one. The liberal hive mind is a big one. Tim Pool is also a big one. And Atheism Unstoppable is somebody who has been banned from YouTube, completely banned, and he had to go
I disagree
onto
with that
censored
wholeheartedly.
TV.
I don't care what your viewpoint.
And Mark Dice is an example as well, where you might not see a lot of these conservatives on YouTube because they're getting demonetized.
Yeah.
They're getting kicked off of YouTube.
Deplatformed.
Deplatformed because of specifically what
Jones got the same
they're
thing,
bringing
right?
to
Or
light.
Jones is the goat.
Stuff like that. And I kind of forget where I was going with that, but on YouTube is where you can kind of find a lot of the like inner details of things from like conservatives who are just people looking up those stories and kind of commenting on those stories, but eventually they start to disappear because there's this whole scandal on YouTube about them changing their algorithm and all this type of stuff to prevent people from seeing those videos.
Well, my views are just on that. It's like that. It's a weird thing to say. These companies, and again, if you treat these companies like they're not free platforms for everybody, they can do whatever they want to.
Yeah.
Like my problem is that
And how they're being treated
They
right
don't want
now.
you to be on there. It's cool, but you can't protect them. Like, I mean, you can't have it both ways where you're just a free open platform, but we're going to curate.
Well, no government,
problem
government
currently.
oversight on these.
Yeah.
So
So-
like Google, or YouTube.
But then it gets into a thing where, like,
Yeah.
do we want the government fingering in on every private
But
company?
what's scaring me
that's a
though,
tough thing that-
what's scaring me though is like Parler comes out.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm a Parler member.
Hey, Bonfire Banter's on Parlor. Check us out.
Yeah, we're on Parler, but it's all conservative voices.
It's just the opposite of Twitter. So it's like, what's the point?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's polarized the other direction. So I feel like we're contributing to the polarization by being on Parler,
being on
but Parler really is an open platform. You can say whatever you want. They won't
Well,
demonetize
there's not
you.
a lot of
But
Democrats.
there won't be a lot of liberal
the problem
voices.
is you don't want to be in a place where facts don't agree with you. And right now, they disagree with a lot of people that don't want to hear it.
Right. I just want to hear everybody. I don't
Yeah.
really care. I
But
really
that's-
want to hear everybody.
That's where like doing your research comes into play. Is that, and I don't even go out, and I'm not the kind of guy like I spend all day researching these things. But when I do look at the news, I do watch CNN. I watch Fox News. I watch Newsmax. I think is what it's called.
Yeah, Newsmax, yeah.
Newsmax,
And
More
then
American
I
News.
also
Yep.
listen
Oh,
to
yeah,
my
yeah.
and I
Yeah,
also
yeah.
listen to my girl who's watching Alex Jones, and I've taken all these things.
Yes.
And yes, if Mike asks me what I believe, or my girl asks me what I believe, I'm like, it's like almost asking me what I believe in religion. Well, it's
very personal.
I'm agnostic. Well, it's more so like I'm agnostic.
I'm speaking
And
as
I'm
far
okay.
as I know right now.
And that's what I'm
Right.
comfortable with telling religious people that I'm agnostic, because I'm not saying that I'm an atheist. That I'm saying that I know that what you're saying
We were
is
just
bullshit.
talking about that.
I'm saying that I don't know, and that what you're saying, if you believe in Christianity,
Yes.
and then somebody else believes in being an atheist, I believe you both equally.
I think
because you
we're-
both have the same
think-
right to maybe
wanted to
be.
I think
clarify
most,
that
I think most
atheism
Americans are
is
tired of people
unstoppable on
saying,
YouTube.
You don't get
claiming
to
that they know everything.
They know things
Well,
that they
well,
you can't possibly
Well,
know.
it starts at like just the language of it is you don't get to pass you don't get to tell me if you believe me or not.
You
That's why
can
it's
tell
my
me,
belief.
but I don't
It's like-
have to
no,
take
but
it
it's like
as
a thing.
fact.
But yeah,
Your
but,
beliefs are your own.
Yes,
oh, no,
Right.
so
To
we've
each
gotten to the
their
point where,
own.
like you just
And
said,
it's simple.
Like you just said, there's one key element that's always missing. It seems like that if you can find the time and people watch the news and they say, "I watch all the news, I read all the different opinions."
Yeah.
It's like, okay, well, what's in the Steele dossier?
Right.
And I'll say,
If it
I don't even
hasn't
know what
been-
that is.
I'm saying
If it hasn't
so-
been covered
so-
by the news, then you didn't
well,
read it.
Well, it's not even that. It's like
Paid
no matter
for by
what
Hillary
no matter what
Clinton
you're reading,
and DNC.
like I can watch a video of
Which we
people
do not
taking ballots
condone.
off.
Sorry,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's
yeah,
right.
which is allegedly.
Yeah.
Let
so,
Mike finish.
So I can watch a video of them telling me. I can watch a video of people taking ballots out front of the table. See these spikes. It's that blatant, and they can still convince half people that it's
Right.
all
Not a
okay.
thing. It's
There's
not a
no-
thing.
There's none of that.
Right.
So it's like this idea that if you just, no matter what, doesn't matter if it's left opinion, right opinion, middle. If you're not reading the fucking Mueller report, you can't trust anybody's telling you what's actually fucking in it.
Right.
Read the shit because you
And
can all
I feel
read it.
like in those documents they make them in a way that it's hard to read if you're not a lawyer or a politician or
yeah, so
to a normal person. It's very
Okay,
hard to
so-
decipher a
Well,
lot of these
wait.
things.
Hard to decipher,
So
dude.
time out.
I get my health insurance through the Affordable Care Act,
And that's hard
I
to
can decipher anything.
Well,
bro.
I
I was gonna
If you
say,
can decipher
Justin.
how to find a plan on Obamacare, you can
Right.
find out how to fucking decipher any
and
bill
dude,
in
so-
Congress.
so
I feel like half the American public cannot decipher the marketplace
Dude,
and
I
figure it
went
out.
okay, real quick. I'm sorry,
that's
not
just
to
me.
sidetrack, but December 15th is the deadline for ACA. and me and my wife have been on it for 6 years. Whenever the kids are on chip, because they automatically qualify with my
They got
income.
chipped.
They have.
No.
Yeah,
Go on.
they have microchip RFIDs in your arm.
I'm just kidding. I was
No, but I'm saying like it's a jargon. It's a read through. Like how many? What's your deductible? What's your premium? What's your out of pocket
You have
cost?
to get
What's your
insurance.
Well, that's
Oh,
like,
dude, there's
that's
no
like
way-
terms and
understand.
conditions
There's no
on
way the
a
average person
product
could
you buy.
decipher the ACA. Like it's so convoluted.
which is
And
where
I feel like they do it on purpose.
well, but this
They
is
do?
Where, this
Yeah.
is where the appeal authority comes in. Like, it just comes right back to it.
Well, that's where tax
I'm not an expert,
loopholes
dude. I
come
don't know
into play.
what happens in buildings.
That's why I
I
don't.
get that it's complex, but you could learn it.
That's why a guy
But,
like
but
this.
the average American doesn't have time to learn.
Yeah, but
that
the average
shit.
American can read the Steele dossier and see that bullet point number 2 is, yeah, he went to the hotel room that Barack
Wait,
Obama
stop,
stayed
stop.
at.
Didn't the Steele dossier wasn't the main?
I'm saying it right now. Exactly what you're going to say.
Oh, okay.
Is that
I
Donald
was gonna
Trump
say,
went
wasn't
to
the main
Talking about
contact of the Steele
talking about the
dossier?
he went to the
Right,
hotel
let him-
room
let him finish.
with where Barack Obama and Mike Obama stayed.
Who did this?
This is in the Steele dossier, which was the entire basis for the Russia collusion.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it said that he went and he got hookers,
Who did?
Donald Trump, to piss all over their bed
Yeah.
that they stayed in Russia.
PP. You got that
That's
doo
what's in
butter.
the-
Oh,
It
he
goes-
was into that golden shower shit.
No,
He's
that's
in
the,
that
that's
doo-doo
the,
butter,
Justin,
dude.
that's the shit.
Doo-doo butter.
Justin,
I'm too pissed
Spray
on
fought
you.
in your dinner
Justin,
tonight.
Justin, that's the shit you can't decipher.
Yeah.
You can't read something that says Donald Trump got people to piss all over Barack Obama's Russia bed and say that seems kind of
So,
far-fetched.
so the Steele dossier
Oh,
was paid
this segment
for
ain't making it.
by
Let's
Clinton
make
and the DNC. Correct me if I'm wrong, but made by Christopher Steele.
Paid for by like the Clinton
which
Foundation.
was used
Yeah.
to receive a FISA warrant to be able to spy on the Trump campaign.
Yeah, but the contact they had for the FISA warrant was in bed with Russia, right? He was ended up being
No,
Dude, the
Christopher
entire
Steele-
point of the
who was-
FISA
who was
warrant
the guy-
was that they used the Steele dossier, which was the piss tape fairy tale.
Yes.
And that got the FBI to secretly
yeah, but
surveil.
who's the guy that was on the Steele dossier that was
What's
also
wrong with pissing on people?
Nothing's wrong with it.
no, nothing's wrong with it. Well, no, nothing
If you
legally
lie-
if
if you
they're
lie
both
about it, it's a problem.
consenting.
You're
But-
consenting adults.
If
no,
the
if you're
FBI
consenting, you can have pee butter and doo doo butter all over you.
If
You
the
don't care.
FBI is giving secret surveillance warrants and
No,
taking
but
away your privacy because somebody said somebody pissed on
FISA
somebody.
courts.
But on the,
Without any
Fi-
evidence?
on the FISA
Bizarre.
warrant and the Steele dossier, wasn't the informant for that a suspected
Yeah.
Russian colluder himself?
Yeah, it was somebody that was acting as a
with
Russian
the-
spy.
Yeah,
that
so
with
it
the
was
Trump
all-
It's all
campaign.
just, it's literally a circle jerk of trying to fuck somebody over.
Exactly.
The FISA warrant,
Which
they got
was
the
Anthony
FISA warrant
Weiner,
through
like
the,
Pizzagate shit.
They got the FISA warrant through
going
the
down.
Steele dossier.
Want to get weird?
And the Steele
Comment ping pong.
dossier was completely BS. And they received this FISA warrant in order to be
Comey
able to,
fucking knew
to
it was
spy on the
BS.
Trump campaign. FISA warrant to be able to like tap somebody's phone and crap like that. That's why Michael Flynn got prosecuted by what is it, the FBI because he was talking with Russian oligarch or whatever.
Because they went to the White House and
Yes.
they said that he lied to them.
So they got a warrant
Is
to
that
be
just
able to
a- yeah,
spy on the
really.
Trump campaign through a fake dossier
Yeah.
through the FISA courts, which is so
Which-
the
and-
whole Russian investigation was based off of BS.
and the power of the FISA warrant is that you take one low level person in the campaign,
yes.
then there's a very, very fast webbing effect
Yes.
to where they talk to somebody. You can now talk to everybody
Yes.
that person talks to.
yes.
Right.
And then up and up and up. So
It's,
then you get
point-
before you even know it, you're now.
They
Donald Trump's
described
right
it
hand.
as like the 6 degrees of
exactly.
bacon kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Or, yeah.
Oh,
they
yeah,
can,
where
they can
everybody's- yeah.
jump. They can jump. No, I'm not kidding.
No, you're right.
I heard
yeah.
6 degrees of like separation. or
Yeah,
like,
I've
never heard of 6 degrees
The
of bacon.
NSA and the FBI, CIA, they could all jump like per our laws. I'm not sure if this was Patriot Act or what this was, but they can jump. They could jump degrees
Yeah.
of separation from contacts. So it's not. I'm not just making a joke. It's, really they can
based
jump
on,
contacts.
It's based on you're under suspicion because you're associated.
Right.
Which
Yeah.
is-
Power of association.
Which is.
But I would tell you what,
we're back in
it's-
McCarthyism right now.
But I'll tell you what, though, it is
That's something
kind of
we're
weird
not-
that the Michael Flynn, all that stuff went down, and the Steele dossier and all that kind of stuff went down, and then we find out that Joe Biden's son had
Right.
ties to Burisma
Right.
and all this stuff overseas, and
likes foot
oh no,
jobs.
we don't get any kind of coverage of that.
Right.
Like
Right.
it just seems suspect. It's not that I want to believe it one way or the other. I'm just
Right?
saying
I
it's
just want the truth.
Pointing
Just want
out
the
things
truth.
that look shady.
no, it does look shady that mainstream media, MSNBC, CNN, they weren't talking about Hunter Biden running up to the election, and there was damning evidence all over alternate sources
but
of
the
media.
one thing I would like to say though is clearly CNN is going to side to the left, and clearly Fox is going to side to the right. So why would CNN be following the Hunter Biden story?
No.
Clearly they don't know.
Because they should be reading.
Because they should be
news.
giving us the news.
They were.
Right?
Everybody should be giving us the inside.
That's obviously
scoop.
the argument. But again, Fox News in the opposite thing is not.
You want to
gonna
know
tell
why? You want to know
know
why?
what I'm saying though, right?
You want to know
Is
why
it like-
though?
If we're looking for evidence to damn
They're supposed to be the thing that
Republican
lets you
Party,
know
we're
what's
not
going
to
on.
go watch
They can't lie to
Fox to go find information. Damn the
because
Republican
we've
Party.
allowed special interests to conglomerate our news corporations
Right.
Yes.
to a point where they have vested interest in
And-
telling you a certain side of a
And I
story.
don't think that-
Exactly.
I don't
we
think
we
that's even
talked about
debatable.
this. We talked about this with George
Jr.
W. Bush.
Yeah.
When Fox News and Rupert Murdoch, there was a documentary called Outfoxed that came on, and they talked all about how Rupert Murdoch was at the center of right wing news outlets, and
he owns
Michael
it.
Moore shit all over Fox News and all this stuff, and then fast forward to the Trump administration, and you get MSNBC and CNN and George Soros funding
Yep.
news outlets owned by the left, and it's a constant, and that's what Americans are sick of. A
Yes.
two-party. They're sick of the two-party
left.
biased.
Right.
Leaning to one extreme or the other. People are moderates by nature. I'm a fiscally conservative, socially liberal individual.
Right.
You're almost
that wants,
libertarian by definition.
Right.
Well,
Right.
yeah, but I mean,
old
and people say the
definition, right.
libertarian has no validity in modern politics, but
Right.
I think that if you really looked at it at where people stand, there is more support for those viewpoints than people would like to admit. Or
Well,
people
there
that-
is.
agree.
There are
I
people
totally
in it.
agree
Well,
with
there
that.
are people in. I believe both the Senate and the House, but I could be wrong on that. It's both. But there are people that hold seats that are libertarians currently.
maybe.
No,
You
there
could be
are.
right. You
Yeah,
could be
there might-
right.
there might
It's in the House. I don't think it's
Probably
in the
not.
Senate.
I
Probably the
think in the
House because
House
there's
for
more,
sure,
way
yeah.
more members.
I was
of the
just
House.
talking about Dalrymple the other day, who is a good friend of all of ours. He was telling me, he goes,
Shout out to Dell.
absolutely.
Delbert.
One of my favorite friends to talk about. The guy's going through. He just took the bar. I don't even want to get in the whole story, but amazing human being.
Thank you for your service.
But the thing that I was getting at, I was talking
Thanks,
to him
Matt.
about this. I was talking to him about this the other day, and he was basically getting at that to where he's telling me like, listen, if you're believing one side or the other, and you're getting down that rabbit hole of one or the other, he's like, you're allowing your emotions to take over, and you're allowing yourself to like believe one narrative.
Yes.
He goes, but at the end of the day, he goes, I'm a man of the law. He goes, I studied the law now and all stuff like that. He goes, that's what the end all be all is here. If
Right.
if Trump is taking these things to the highest courts and they're turning him down and saying it's not there, he has 3 justices that he appointed. So like,
Right.
and and Matt's the kind of guy that is truly, in my mind, a moderate. That he's not leaning one way or the other.
Nonpartisan, Unbiased.
Yes, but even
Yes.
the law is open to interpretation. So
Agreeable, but
There's-
you would think that
yes, yeah, there is. I mean,
you have 3 out of the 7.
I mean, I
It's
will
7, right?
I will say
Supreme
there's
Court-
Kavanaugh,
it's-
Gorsuch.
it's impossible to
there's
ignore-
A lot, there's a lot
Well,
of
he's
right-leaning.
appointed 3.
Yeah, there's a lot of right leaning.
it's just
Yeah.
it's
Supreme
hard to
Court
ignore the human aspect of this
Exactly.
because it's
That comes back to our ego. We talked
well,
about
it just comes down to let's look at the 2 possible outcomes here because there are only 2.
Yeah.
It's very easy to see how much worse for everybody in this country one of them could
That
be.
was so loud, by the way.
And that's
Right,
like
yeah.
when
It
you-
was very loud.
When you have the entire media complex parroting over and over and convincing you that this is all bullshit and this guy's a tyrant, and like it's not going to be pretty. So like there. It's hard to just say like for sure like oh there's no human factor, there's no them weighing how fucking consequential this could be. It's hard to know.
One of the biggest examples that I had seen in the last like maybe 6 months or so, it was probably a little longer than that ago, but probably about a year ago. But it was interesting because I forgot what video I watched on social media, but it was basically showing the Republican people on Fox News bashing Obama when they were talking about Obama going to visit with Kim Jong-un and stuff like that, going, why would you ever, talk to a tyrant like this? Like, why would he ever do that? But then as soon as, Donald Trump gets in office and he goes to do that, now the same people that were shitting on Obama for trying to do that are going, let's applaud Donald Trump for getting into North Korea. and
It's all a
talking-
game of
Well,
one-upmanship.
that's what I'm
Because
saying.
those you're
that-
listening to partisan hacks.
But
Yeah.
the thing
Put everybody
is
on
that
TV.
You could find videos of those are mocks mix. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
you can find the videos of Republicans being hypocrites on certain
They're
aspects,
both
as
being
well as
hypocrites at
Democrats
times.
doing
I mean-
that same. Even Joe Biden specifically being a hypocrite on some certain.
He calls people super
As-
predators and stuff.
Yes,
Some
super better.
thing.
So I mean
And he's-
that's a Mox mix type thing. You know what I mean? Where
Yeah,
it's like
opposing,
a battle you can't win.
supporting busing, corn pop rubbing his leg hairs.
Yeah, there you go.
But-
Right,
but-
right.
to-
No,
I'm a little
Corn
uncertain
Pop
of what
was
you're
the bad
talking
guy.
about.
He had
Corn
the-
Pop?
No, kids
saying-
were rubbing
Hang
his
on, go
leg
into this.
hairs.
Go into this. I don't even know what you're talking about.
It's
Oh,
just
no,
a
just
Joe
look up
Biden
the story
story.
about
It's,
Corn
yeah,
I'll,
look it up.
I'll tell you
Look,
about
look
it.
up Joe
I'll tell
Biden
you
corn
about
pop.
it.
It's hilarious.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Please, someone fill me in, please.
Okay.
No, it's like a story.
No,
You have
it's
to
just
see it. You gotta
it's
see
just
it.
an anecdotal story about when he was younger.
Just a
and
gaffe.
about
It's hilarious.
This,
Yeah.
him
Working
working,
as a
him working about a
lifeguard.
public pool, taking out a rusty chain,
Yes.
and beating some dude named Corn Pop in a parking lot.
No, he didn't beat him. No.
No, he just, like,
Corn
scared him
Pop
off.
was threatening him outside, and
I'll-
he said,
I'll-
"Let's
The
not
guy
know the
fight."
story?
He justified. He calls him corn pop.
Oh no, his name was
You gotta,
his street name was
you
Corn Pop.
gotta look it up.
Yeah, it's,
This is real.
why are you talking
Oh,
about
it's
corn pop?
real. It's very real.
Because I've heard, like, I've seen the Joe Biden things where he's
Gaffes.
well, no,
Like
not the
gaffes.
gaffes, but the plagiarism. Where
Oh,
he's
that
like,
too. That was
Oh,
way
yeah,
back in the
that-
day.
that
though.
happened.
like the speeches, like he
Yeah.
says like word for word shit that like guys in Russia like
During
yeah.
the '94 crime bill, like after
he,
he
like,
locked up
word
the most
for
African
word
Americans
Plagiarized
ever.
Bobby
repeated-
Kennedy like
he
3
like
times.
repeated
Yeah.
speeches,
Right.
which a lot of people say like, oh, you got the same speechwriters and stuff like that. Like you could easily make the same kind of comments, but
No.
he accentuates
I mean, he
the same
adm- he
word.
admitted to doing it.
He
It's like-
does it.
Yes.
I mean, it's like the same speech.
Yes.
Listen.
It's crazy.
You're,
Yes.
if you have a long enough career in public life, and
Right.
you say that you can't hide your biases,
Right.
You cannot hide them.
You're gonna get screwed
Beca-
over at some point.
You're going to be found
Well,
out because
well,
you
especially in
talk
this day
too
and age.
much.
Well, dude, there's also something else you
Especially in
can't
this day and age,
hide.
where, like everything's filmed.
What-
Something else
what's
you can't
that
hide
like?
is that in 2008, all the people that are still doing it for a living all told you that Barack Obama was an innovator and he was right about immigration.
Right. And that yeah.
Barack Obama was very, very against immigration.
Yes.
Legal immigration. Very, 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 very staunch against it.
You look at that
But
during
then
the 08 campaign.
now
Right.
Donald Trump is a monster racist and we should
Right.
open the borders.
Yes.
It's like you can't hide the footage, guys.
Yes.
You just said the opposite thing.
That's
so
right.
if
That's
the
what
fact that people
yeah.
still trust you, it
Well, you
makes
can't
me-
also hide the footage that says Joe Biden said that Barack Obama is the first clean, articulate
Yeah.
black man.
He doesn't
that
want his
ever-
kid in a
Yes.
racial jungle, Joe.
He said that.
He
07. 07, run up to the 08 election, said when he was being considered for Barack Obama's VP nominee, said Barack Obama is the first articulate, clean, well-spoken black man.
it's amazing.
What about
you
when
have
he
an
said
articulate,
if
clean,
you-
well-spoken
if-
black
and
man.
that's
It's like
a slap in the
fairy-
face to black
Clean
people.
is a weird word.
No, no,
to use.
Clean.
He said
Clean's
it's
the
like
word
a fairy
we
tale.
use.
And they took it out.
He
Hey,
said it's like a fairy tale.
you know what the funny thing is? And I'm not, and you know what? If this gets us pulled off YouTube, I'm glad it got us pulled off YouTube.
Hey, if
They-
we're getting that much
I
notice,
looked-
Saying
I
it's gonna
looked
pull off
that
YouTube
up.
means it's gonna be pulled off
I
Probably
looked
info.
that up, that quote, to see if it was actually
It's
true
exact.
because I didn't know.
Yeah.
And
Right.
and they had a 07 post from CNN about it. Withdrew. They pulled the
I
page
believe
down.
It. I believe
Yeah.
it.
They pulled the
What
page
about
down.
when he
I found
said
it on an alternate, some weird website.
Yeah, they're censoring.
They're
They're
actively
censoring
pulling
their
their
own.
stuff down.
believe
They're
that.
they're censoring their own
Yes.
stuff.
What about
It's like-
when he said that if you have trouble figuring out whether you're voting for me or for Trump?
Oh no!
you're
If you
way
don't,
black.
if you don't vote for
not
me,
black.
if you ain't black,
Yeah.
Well, dude, I'm saying.
I mean that.
you-
my
I'd be-
mother. Okay, okay.
I'd be so offended. if I was a black man, I'd be so
real quick,
offended. by that.
last thing. You know
Go.
what busing would do? It would make it so Joe Biden's kids have to grow up in a racial jungle, and like he can't have that.
Right.
He did. He
The
called them
weird thing-
racial
backwards.
jungles, dude.
I know he did. He called
That's
them super,
messed up,
called them
dude.
super predators.
Right.
I think it's a
Yes,
Hillary
he
thing,
did.
but
Yes.
he followed it up.
That's messed up.
We're gonna end on that.
Yeah.
By
Yeah.
the way, again,
Super predators, dude.
Again, I just want to.
That's like saying Voldemort,
Listen,
dude.
Again, I want to get this out there that we all like to say things. We're all talking around the fire here, and we're talking about things that line up, and that is what it is. I want to push again that this is not a Republican platform. We're not sitting here saying
Nonpartisan,
this is
unbiased.
okay, listen.
I would love for somebody to
The
come
panelists-
out that wants to
Again, and we're not
challenge
looking
our
for a
views.
debate. We're not necessarily looking for a debate. We're not looking
kind
for
of.
no, but it's not though. Honestly, I know you're trying to make a joke here, but
No, I'm just
I'm the
not.
guy trying to tell you here. We're
Conflicting
not.
ideas is
we're
kinda
not.
like the
I know, but
whole
we're
thing,
not trying to have people out here to go we want to have a Democrat out here to go. Gotcha.
No,
we're
no.
gonna get you.
why debate
That's
ideas,
not
like,
the thing.
figure out what
And
the-
that's
Dude,
not
I
what we're
love
trying to
people
do
for
here.
who they are, not for what
And
they believe.
at the end of the day, if you do come out here and you have a differing view, we will respect you and we will listen to your topic.
Yes,
and
yes.
and we will
Welcome
judge it
you.
the same way,
Yes.
the same way we judge everything else. And I will tell you one thing: I voted for Obama in 08 and 12, and guess what? I voted for Trump this year, and that is what it is. But I'm only saying that to push the point of I can be swayed. Other people up here that we bring on the panel can be swayed by things you could say. So if you're feeling very passionate in one way or the other, please come out, because if you think you can make
Did
a
I just tell
difference,
you during the break? I love Tulsi Gabbard.
if you think
I
you can
love
make a
what she- I
difference,
like what she's doing.
Yeah, I do like her as well.
I like Tulsi
yeah.
Gabbard. a
and
lot.
if there's somebody out there that
I would
wants to
vote
make a
for her
difference,
if
and
that
you
were-
think that
if there was a challenge, yeah.
if someone's out there thinking that you might be able to sway someone and you might be able to make a difference in the next election, or at least push your point to help other people understand what you're saying, please come out
Or get a
and
third,
just
fourth,
state what you're
fifth
saying,
party.
and we will listen, and we will honestly love to have you out here. So
right.
again, lastly, keep subscribing. If you guys like what you're doing, subscribe, like. We have a giveaway going on right now, okay? York Furrier is giving us the Hatitude package, all right? And what that is a fur hat. It's not this.
No,
You guys are not
Jess,
winning
come
this.
out here. Jess, come out here.
So what is going to happen
Jess
is
has
here.
got the whole deal on.
Does she have it all on?
Yeah, she's got it on. Come here.
If she has it on, bring her out.
Jess, come out here.
I'm going to start talking about this right now. If she's going to come out.
Jess, get out here. Come here.
But what I'm going to say really quick is right now, if you're listening to this and you're watching the episode, what you have to do to be in the competition and to be in the giveaway is to go like York Furrier on Instagram and Facebook. You then have to go subscribe to us on YouTube, and then you send a private message or a DM, as the kids like to say, to York Furrier with your email address. And what you're going to win,
Right over there. Scoot over.
and what you're going to win right here, Jess, is this fantastic leather-bound coffee table book.
Many leather-bound
Look at
books.
these. Look at these. Look at these gloves.
Oh,
Jesus
so furry.
Christ, these are fantastic.
Yes.
And then
Beautiful.
bring your
Jesus, jumping
lovely
Jehoshaphat.
noggin down here. Look at this hat.
Oh my
Beautiful.
God.
Rhinestone embedded fox fur bald hat. You guys will not find a
They're made
better.
of pure bald eagle.
You guys will not find better fur products than what York Furrier is giving us. Everyone that is watching out there, you guys are in the running. You don't have to do a whole lot. If you already subscribed to us on YouTube, go to York Furrier on Instagram and Facebook, like them, and just send a direct message with your email. We are also now giving bonus entries if you get someone
Hoorah.
else to like and subscribe. They post your name behind you saying done on any of our posts.
I'm half
And
mast.
then that person will get a second and maybe third entry. There are no limit to the entries.
Great.
So if you, Joe
I'm
Peacock,
sick just thinking about it.
if Joe Peacock goes out there and he gets 6 people that go,
Six,
we
I'm
have done
sick,
it, and we have done it. Oh, we've liked everything, and they put Joe Peacock's name. Joe is going to get 6 entries to the competition.
Oh, yeah.
The only other way that we have not talked
I've
about
set
on
up fake accounts just to get entries.
yeah, you might as well. The only other way to get entries that we have not described yet on our Facebook page is if you share the original post of what we said about this competition, you will get one more entry. If you take the original post and you share it on your Facebook or social media anywhere, you will get an additional entry as well. So you guys keep liking, subscribing. Thank you guys so much for
Thanks,
everything you're
York
doing.
Furrier.
Thank you, York Furrier.
Thank you.
Thank you, more
Rob,
brewing.
you got something to say?
More brewery.
Cody Goals, thank you for coming back out.
Thank you very much. My
Joe
pleasure.
Peacock, editing chief, fantastic human being,
Hey-o.
and Mike DeGraff, our resident guy that we love to fucking bring out here and say crazy shit. Woo! Thank you guys so much. Jess, she's been doing everything she can to make us look more professional than we really are.
Yes.
And Cody will attest to it.
That's right. She's
Yeah.
the best. She's a sweetheart.
She is the best. She will call you. If you guys want to be in, Jess will be contacting you. And because of last episode, a segment that probably won't be aired because I got a little too intoxicated.
That's okay.
I did something. I kind of was saying something like where I was trying to compliment our technical director and relate him to Jamie. and I failed because I was too intoxicated to make the right connection. Jamie wishes he was Mike.
Young
Jamie's best day
Young Jamie.
is Mike's worst day.
Right.
Young Jamie.
So at the end of the day, if Joe Rogan had Mike, he'd be better off. And if we had Jamie, we'd be worse off.
Fucking Jamie
I love you guys.
slouch.
Beautiful.
Keep doing what you're
Slouch
doing.
ass motherfucker.
Bonfire Banter.
Bonfire
signing out.
Panther.
We love you
Get
guys.
it, baby.
Beautiful.
Let the bonfire consume you.